cause that's what you believe about me. I don't mean to be let down, but you best believe the fire's on its way now. Play dead, that's what you've been hoping. Told them I won't show, and they don't need to worry about me. But the quiet always comes first, then the devil brings the lightning and the thunder. Take a shot, come see what you made of. 'Cause cause you know, cause I can't, won't stop, won't let go, won't surrender, even on my knees, cause there's nowhere but up for me, and I'm fired up, cause you know, and I can't, won't stop, won't let go, no surrender, even on my knees, cause there's nowhere but up for me. Shut down, turning all the lights up, calling me a writer. Thought you got the best of me. Thought you had me nailed down, but you'll never get the keys or the crown. 'Cause there's something that you don't know about, something you ain't heard about. Never really got about me. I'ma fight until the bell sounds, and you don't wanna get me in the ring now. So take a shot, come see what you made of. 'Cause I'm taken for a ride. The more my feet are battered, the more I'm taken down. The more they think I'm innocent, I'm fighting from the ground. 'Cause I can take this pain, it's changing me. I will rise up to the moment and I won't stay the same. It's my decree. Burning like a flame, I'm coming a train, I'm coming your way, your way. Thunder with the rain, I'm flooding the game, start running away, away. Battle through the pain, transforming the game, I'm storming your way, your way. will never die. They take me for a fool, I'm taken for a ride. The more my feet are bad, the more I'm taken down. The more they think I'm innocent, I'm fighting from the ground. 'Cause I can take this pain, it's changing me. I will rise up to the moment and I won't stay the same. There's my decree. Burning like a flame, I'm coming a train, I'm coming your way. Thunder with the rain, I'm flooding your game, start running away. Battle through the pain, transforming the game, I'm storming your way. And I won't stay the same as my decree.
SCW is the official technology VAR of NASCAR. Whether you're looking to outfit the office with the latest technology from your favorite brands like HP, Lenovo, or Logitech, or you're wanting to race like the pros with a full cockpit on iRacing, just like the SCW sponsored driver Taylor Hurst. SCW is where America gets IT. Shop now at scw.com.
You wanted the best, you got them for abreast. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now.
Stadiums, minimum sold out. Mind, body, and soul. Got a heart full of gold. They can never hold me down. I keep my name on the low. How wild, my opponent been trying to chase for miles. The distance between looking like the West now. And my stamina adding up from setback, standing up. Look crazy, they see me and start pulling out their cameras. Tell them grab your pen, I'm giving lessons out. I'm getting bread, you won't worry about impression counts. Nah, you got a cool, ain't even a single sense about having potential and trying to pull the legend.
This is the eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
Big drinks or big private.
The cars may be virtual, but the racing and scholarships are real.
Big drinks or big private. We got big private. They been mad that we ain't got it. I turn a big drink to a big private. I turn a big drink to a big private. We got big
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to iRacing's coverage of the sixth race in the 2022 eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NACE Starleague, the Coca-Cola 80, live tonight for the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval in Concord, North Carolina. James Pike here alongside Terry Bradford, getting ready to bring you all the action. And Terry, road course racing for the first and only time in this fall semester for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series.
Yeah, it's going to be super awesome. The last time me and you called a road course race, it was Watkins Glen. We did not see a pit stop. We watched guys go out there and win this race. I think Daniel Botafuco was the winner. Didn't pit, kind of surprised us all and got it. It's awesome to be back. This is the most wonderful time to be an iRacing fan.
I noticed that you may or may not have a little bit more school spirit than I do. Of course, I suppose we won't commiserate on what happened to a certain football team this weekend. But if anything, you need to convince more Tennessee drivers to go road course racing. We've seen a few participants on the oval side. No Tennessee drivers tonight, but 40 drivers almost ready to bring it to you. 36, in fact. As we take a look at the schedule for the fall semester, we've already gone to Homestead-Miami and Auto Club. Tonight, we're at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. We round out the semester at Nashville Superspeedway. The Time Attack opens November 11th, runs all the way through the 25th, and race day will be Tuesday, November 29th here on iRacing's channel. So one more race after this, not quite a mile and a half, but this is the wild card, I think, by comparison to everything else, Terry, because it's just so different compared to what else we've run in this semester so far.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This definitely is the wild card. I mean, this is the only road course you're going to see. It's the hybrid. It's the Roval for a reason. I'm excited for Nashville, home track, backstage, Broadway in Lebanon, Tennessee. I hope we get some Tennessee people out there and put some flavor and put a little Rocky Top in Nashville.
And also, Black Friday sale has finally begun. I know there are a lot of people in the community that were sort of asking about this and wondering when it might pop up. 50% off of all new memberships, 25% off of all renewals and reactivations of 1 year and 2 year when you go to iRacing.com/Black Friday. And personally, Terry, this is a sale that I take part in every year when I need to renew. I renew during the Black Friday period because you get the best deal to renew your account for the upcoming year, and that runs through December 1st. So go ahead and get your renewals in now, where you can get max value out of those deals and get on the service and run a little bit more.
Yeah, this is like Hannah Montana. You get the best of both worlds, and this is the most wonderful time of the year to be a fan of eNASCAR, to get into eNASCAR. This is where it's at. You have every track, every car on the service worldwide right here. This is your portal, iRacing.com. Get on here and race with us.
Yeah, plenty of racing on iRacing.com in the eNASCAR world as well as everywhere else. But for now, let's take a look
at this track in tonight's Xfinity track analysis here at the Charlotte Roval. We are in Concord, North Carolina for a track that is 2.28 miles, 3.67 kilometers in length officially. 17 turns, 24 degrees of banking on the oval pieces. You have some elevation changes in the infield of the circuit, otherwise largely flat for the most part. The first race on this Roval in 2018, that classic finish between Martin Truex Jr. and Ryan Blaney and Jimmy Johnson all coming together at the line, and that established this place as a mainstay on the back portion of the calendar for the NASCAR Cup Series. It also comes into the eNASCAR College iRacing Series for the first time. Tonight should be a lot of fun to see these drivers go after it on a road course here and switch their skill set up a little bit. We've got names that you'll know, people that you want to see, and it's time to take you to the starting grid to tell you where your favorite driver begins. It's the man who's dominated this fall semester, Steven Wilson out of the University of Iowa on pole alongside UNC Charlotte's Garrett Lowe. Logan Clampett from Saddleback College starts third. He's joined by James Cioli from Eastern Washington in fourth. Nate Stewart and Jack Coyne make up row number 3 in tonight's race. Noel Fougere and Alex Kalanick starting 7th and 8th on the grid. UConn's Jose Solis Jr. and St. Charles Community College's Anthony Burrows completing the top 10. Mario Miranda out of Oklahoma starts in that next spot. He's alongside Jordan Johnson, Mitchell Welker, and John Hall there in row 7. Elliott White and the Ohio State University's Matthew Morton start in 16th. Daniel Silvestri starting in 20th alongside Wyatt Harvey, Sean Pellick, Ryan Gamble, Edwin Onofre, and Brett Suggs starting in the 24th position out of High Point University. Chris Fritz, Christina Ryan starting 25th, 26th, 27th is Max Swearingen. Garrett Vitton out of Arizona State starts 28th. Thomas Clausen and Douglas Newbegin out of King's College rounding out your top 30. Final 6 drivers from Longwood, it's Jeremy Burns. Trey McCrickard from Augusta University starting 32nd. Henry Morse from Cal Berkeley 33rd. Will Norton from Kansas 34th. Jake Cummings from Wingate and Matthew Andreessen from Iowa State completing tonight's 36-car field. Pace car gets set to roll. Let's take a look at our Logitech race analysis from the Charlotte Roval. Tonight we go for 35 laps just south of 80 miles, just south of 130 kilometers in this Coca-Cola 80. Your pit road speed is 40 miles an hour. Your delta is 31 to 34 seconds. That's how much time these drivers are going to give up on pit road when they come in, and they will have to stop at least once because your fuel window is only 18 to 20 laps, so you cannot go all the way on one tank of fuel. 3 sets of tires available to these drivers as we get set for racing here at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. While we're on the subject, we can take a look at the weather very quickly as well and tell you a little bit about what conditions these drivers are facing in sim. It is the default day for iRacing, May 15, 2022, right around 5 p.m. local time in sim. Air temp, a 78 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temp, 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds headed to the north at 2 miles an hour and humidity of 56%. So largely standard conditions under sunny skies in the afternoon as we get set for 80 miles of racing at the Coca-Cola 80. It is race number 6 of the year for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NACE Starleague, our lone road course of the fall, and ready for a lot of action, a lot of fun at the Roval at Charlotte.
Yeah, it's very exciting to see a road course be mixed in there. It kind of puts the disciplines out there for all of these race car drivers. Can you win on the 1.5 miles? Can you win on the 2-mile track? Can you win here on the road course at the Charlotte Roval? This is going to be a very cool race. I think it's going to be kind of hard to beat that Steven Wilson guy, though.
It's the question that everybody's asking, and he's got some competitors, and he's got some people that know this track very well and parts of the Roval very well. Garrett Lowe, a regular competitor in Legends cars that you can also run on iRacing, as a matter of fact, and has run portions of this very Roval in the Legends car. Not the full thing. They don't send them all the way around the banking. They're a little bit small for that, but that infield portion, he's got plenty of knowledge of. One that you want to watch this evening as we remind you that the Black Friday sale has begun at iRacing. Head to iRacing.com/Black Friday to get 50% off of all new memberships and 25% off of renewals and reactivations of 1 year or 2 years. Head over to iRacing.com/Black Friday for more information. That sale active through December 1st. As we get set for the Coca-Cola 80 cars off in NASCAR 3 and 4 on the Roval. That means that they roll through turns 13 and 14, as you might be able to catch on the walls. But the pace car will come down pit road and make that horn left-hand turn. Stephen Wilson out of the University of Iowa, and Championship 4 contender in the Coke Series for 2022 leads us through the chicane, and we are underway in the Coca-Cola 80 for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NACE Starleague for the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway. Battles here already in the top 5. James Steele trying to get around Nate Stewart. That's Washington versus Kentucky. So lots of physical distance and mileage separating those two, but in the sim, they are bumper to bumper right on top of each other. Part of the beauty of iRacing, I think, Terry, that you can be so physically spread out and yet at the same time be in such close quarters competition with one another.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. And that's also a good time to use the Black Friday sale as well and come in here. You look at Mario Miranda right here in the Oklahoma Sooners machine, that 99 sitting there in 10th. He's a little bit of a road course ringer. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes up here and mixes it up. If we get a good solid battle in front of him, maybe he can get some track position here.
Miranda representing the University of Oklahoma, well established on the athletic side for sure, and beginning to build out a pretty solid esports program too, of which Miranda proud to represent the group. I've also seen him active in the community, active in quite a few leagues on the oval side of things, and one of those drivers whose names you know and quite frankly are not shocked to see him in this sort of competition, given how fast he is week in, week out on the surface.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it is good to see most of these colleges come out here and put an esports program together. It's the same thing with Xfinity, what they're doing with HBCUs. It's good to see diversity and inclusion in the iRacing community. Talking about a guy right here, we go back to Nate Stewart in the 4 machine. I was on Twitter scrolling through today, and he talked about, he said this is his opportunity to get a top 5. He sits right here in the 5th place position. Hopkinsville, Kentucky. He's a Kentucky Wildcat fan. It was good to see Tennessee blast those Wildcats on Rocky Top.
There's your nightly Tennessee score update from Terry Radford, so no shocker there. But yes, Hopkinsville Community College officially is where Nate Stewart attends school. But I also did see him talking about tonight's race on social media. Remember, he had that barnstorming run at Homestead-Miami where he qualified, I believe, in the mid-20s and raced his way all the way up to 10th and managed to grab the final $250 that were available in scholarship money that night. And for those who are just tuning in for the first time, we're going to give you the opportunity to listen to some of these cars as we go iRacing full throttle at the Charlotte Roval. As you watch this intense battle around the 20th position, it's time to introduce the third member of our broadcast team for the evening. Kenneth Boyna now joins me in the booth, and Kenneth will be pulling a little bit of double duty for us at iRacing because he will also be part of the broadcast for the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series at 9 p.m. Eastern, coming up right after our broadcast of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series from his home track, Homestead-Miami Speedway. So, KB, you're going to be a little bit busy tonight.
Yeah, a little busy, but it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, two different types of racing as well to have it on this Tuesday night. Road course racing at a very difficult yet intricate Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. And then we go to my favorite track, my home track, Homestead-Miami Speedway, for the eNASCAR Contender Series, the second race in their 2022 campaign. So it's going to be busy, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're already seeing over the first 4 laps here from the Charlotte Roval in this college iRacing Series. It's already been a lot of fun. Already some interesting developments. I think one might have hit the outside wall in front of Christina Ryan. But James Pike, it's going to be a lot of fun tonight, for sure.
On board indeed with Christina Ryan representing Ohio University, the Bobcats of the Lancaster branch. Plenty of racing she's done. She's been an ever-present in this eNASCAR College iRacing Series, it seems. She's currently working her way up towards the top 20, trying to chase down Elliott White for that first spot in the top 20. And everybody now, at this point, trying to gun after Jordan Johnson, who's got that last spot in the top 10. And a reminder, if you don't know what we're racing for tonight, this being the College Series, we're racing for scholarship money. Money that these students can use to further their education in sim racing. About the coolest thing that I could think of, and something that I wish were around when I was going through undergrad. But anywhere from $250 up to $3,500 in scholarship money going to the winner. As you get a good look at this field working their way through the heart of the infield portion of this track and up this sort of double apex blind uphill section right around, I believe that's, call it what, turn 6-7 or so. Good look at Brett Suggs here at High Point University, not too far away in High Point, North Carolina, and originally from Mooresville, so this is a setup that he should know very well. Currently trying to make his way up through to the top 20 as well. 4 spots since we took the green flag.
He's done a solid job, but also has the damage there on the right side of the machine. We saw him have a little bit of a moment coming out of NASCAR Turn 2 in front of Christina Ryan. So hopefully that damage isn't necessarily affecting the Ford Mustang all too much. He's got to worry about Matthew Anderson, though, in the 27 behind him. Here's a look at Wyatt Harvey. A little further up through the field, P18 right now, trying to hold off on Daniel Silvestri. And you could just tell, James, the physicality of a track like the Charlotte Roval. It isn't necessarily a permanent road course by any stretch of the imagination, as Harvey goes a little wide at the entrance of turn 1. And here comes Elliott White in the 19th challenge on the bottom, going into the rest of the corners on the infield. But this track does take a lot out of you. You've got low downforce. These tires are going to start to wear over the course of the 35 that we'll have here tonight. And this track just has the elevation change in the infield, has the NASCAR portion of the track. It is so tough to consistently put laps down here at the Charlotte Roval. We're seeing some of the effects here so far tonight.
You may have caught the very nice and neat and clean background that Wyatt had behind his rig, that onboard shot that we showed you just a moment ago. That's because Wyatt is racing from Butler University's brand new esports hub that they have set up. So big moment for Butler Esports to get a dedicated space for them. Also, we'll give a cap tip to our audio engineer this evening, Cisco Scaramuza, who is an alumnus of Butler University. So plenty of Butler Bulldogs represented throughout this eNASCAR College iRacing Series as we go back to the battle up for fourth between James Scioli and Nate Stewart.
And Nate Stewart putting the pressure here on Scioli right now. And Stewart's coming off of a very solid run at Homestead-Miami Speedway a couple of weeks back when we had that race for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. Finished inside the top 10, had a nice run all the way to the checkered flag, and Stewart already keeping that consistency high as he tries to put the pressure here on the 7 of James Scioli, the Hopkinsville College, the number 4 machine. And Stewart trying to look here as they head over the crest. And it looks like Stewart might just have a pass. But there's one thing here to note about this Charlotte Roval race, James, as well, is that it is somewhat hard to pass. You need to maybe rely on a mistake by some of the drivers around you, or just find the right braking zone. There's only a couple places where really you can outbrake somebody going in and be able to complete a pass. Most of the infield is pretty much off limits unless you really make a risky move, so pretty hard to do. We'll see if Stewart can complete it as we look at the battle for 30th on back. This starts, James, with the number 9 of Jeremy Burns.
Jeremy Burns, Douglas Newbegin, Thomas Clausen, and Garrett Vitton all fighting for position towards the back of the pack as they work their way out of the oval. Look at that drift there. That is impressive from Newbegin. He just about tried to slide it up into the corner as we move a little bit further up the racetrack and get a look at Jeremy Burns representing Longwood University in Virginia. They come down the back straightaway and towards the chicane that originally only spanned the backstretch and then was widened in 2019 after the Turtles did a little bit of a number on some of the real-life cars.
Oh yeah, no, they were tough. They were tough on the real life drivers, but a lot faster. That chicane used to be that butt stop. You used to really have to send it in there if you wanted to make time, but of course they slowed it down, made it a hard braking zone, and also, touching back to my point, added another passing opportunity on the brakes. This track doesn't have many of them, so it just added that one on the back straightaway, gave the chance for some of the drivers to be a little gutsy down there on the brake pedal and be able to make some passes. But Burns doing a solid job of holding off Newbegin, Clausen, and Vitone right now, the 29, 72, and the 15. Everybody all single file, but again, we're probably going to see the mistakes come out at some point. We've seen the sideways action by Newbegin coming out of the infield road course section, so maybe those mistakes pop out, maybe the mistakes happen to the drivers around them, and the passes will happen as here's Nate Stewart further up through the field, getting around James Scioli. This is on the backstretch chicane, and a bit of contact going into NASCAR Turn 3.
These two are racing as if it is short track racing. It's not road course racing to them at this point. They were bouncing off of each other through the chicane, and Scioli was able to hang on to the spot ever so slightly. I'll be curious to see what lap times look like as they come across the stripe. Scioli ran a 1:24.107 to Stewart's 1:24.151, so 4/100ths of a second. Nothing within it on the stopwatch, but Stewart's been applying the pressure to Scioli for just about this whole race so far.
Oh, he definitely is quicker. It's just a matter of getting around this number 7. It hasn't been a matter of being faster because we know Stewart has been able to consistently put laps better, if not on the same pace as Scioli. It's just the space hasn't been there, nor the momentum for Stewart to complete it. It looks like they'll come over the crest, and Stewart is right there. This looks to be a setup again, James, for that back straightaway chicane. You want to grab as much momentum as you need to off of this section right here, this left-hander. Grab as much gas as you can. It looks like Scioli gets a little bit loose, and now this is the opportunity for Stewart to make the pass. I think Scioli notices that Stewart's a little faster, so he'll let him by. A little courteous act there from Scioli, and the pass for P4 on the racetrack.
May also be the case where Stewart may be pressing now, but he may burn off his tires. There may be an opportunity for James Scioli to come through and maybe get that spot back later. We'll see whether or not he decides to just lay off for the moment, or whether or not Nate Stewart truly is that much faster. As we see some action here in the chicane, it looks like Mitchell Welker and Jose Solis Jr. may have gotten into things. Welker with a significant amount of front end damage. Solis and Mario Miranda will come around to him. They'll get 12th and 13th. Of course, this group all chasing Jordan Johnson, who sits in the final scholarship position in 10th as it stands. $250 would go to Jordan Johnson of Kent State University if we took the checkered flag right now, but still plenty of race to go as we get a good look here at what happened to Mitchell Welker on the back straightaway in the chicane. Comes through, and he was chasing Jordan Johnson for position. They come down the back straightaway, and he tried to get into him and send it off, and ended up sending himself around, and then Solis didn't have anywhere to go, so he ends up blocking Solis, costing him time, costing him positions. And the benefactor of all that may well have been John Hall, who was able to scoot past all of them and move up to 11th. Jerry Ranford now rejoins us in the booth. You got the chance to witness all that. How crazy was that from your perspective on the backstretch?
That was pretty cool. I mean, that's textbook. You try to outbrake somebody, but sometimes you overshoot it. Sometimes you miss it right there. You watched him miss it, and that happened. But you take a look here with this battle for second. I mean, that's Logan Clampett catching Garrett Lowe. These two have kind of been around each other the entire race. They're chasing, Steven Wilson, and he's a hard person to catch, and they're just trying to hope to just get second here.
Wilson out in front by 4.5 seconds over these two, who also have a buffer of about 6 seconds to Nate Stewart behind them. As you look at Garrett Lowe out of Gastonia, North Carolina, just to the west of Charlotte by about 15 or 20 minutes or so along Interstate 85, which you can take all the way up to Charlotte Motor Speedway. It is effectively a straight shot for Garrett Lowe to Gastonia. And these two drivers also with plenty of experience, as does our leader, Stephen Wilson, in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series that just wrapped up a few weeks ago. Casey Kerwin, your champion for 2022. We've got some of those drivers who will be competing in the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series event that will follow our broadcast of the College Series. Of course, for those who don't know, the top 20 in points from the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing Series, and those who finish 21st or lower in the Coke Series end up competing in the Contender Series, their second race later tonight, as we get information about the International Series race, which is also on the docket for next week as we ramp up the eNASCAR winter program. The D-Box eNASCAR International iRacing Series, powered by Digital Motorsports, kicks off from Las Vegas Motor Speedway at 6 p.m. Eastern next Tuesday night, November 15th. You can watch that at eNASCAR.com/live. Of course, that series featuring drivers from the NASCAR 50 Series, the NASCAR Peak Mexico Series, the NASCAR Wheeling Euro Series, and drivers from NASCAR's Drive from Diversity program, amongst other series. So those who might have a base more outside the United States, you'll see them in the eNASCAR International iRacing Series with D-Box, powered by Digital Motorsports.
Yeah, I can't say more about how awesome that diversity and the inclusion is here. As you see this battle right here, Clampett, he's all on the back bumper, but the youth movement that's in iRacing right now, you see these college students. This series right here shows high schoolers going into college that maybe we could have more e-sports colleges out here where you ramp up a program and you could be the starter of that, to put iRacing in a lot of these colleges to show really how powerful this community is across the board. But to see our Coke Series drivers out here competing in this series just speaks highly of the level of talent that these youth are starting to push in at the moment. But you see Clampett, he kind of fell off the Garrett Lowe right there. Had a couple bad corners, got loose off the exit. But these two have matched lap times, James. They're right on top of each other across the board with 123.3s.
Yep, they are pretty much dead even with one another, and Nate Stewart has managed to start bringing that gap down just a little bit, so we'll see how he does. But for the moment, we're going to step aside for just a few and let you all catch a breath as these drivers continue to work their way around the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is iRacing's coverage of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NACE Starleague, the Coca-Cola 80 from the Charlotte Roval. We'll be back in just a few moments.
You wanted the best, you got them for a rest. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws. World of Outlaws Dirt Racing is available now.
Tonight's broadcast of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NACE Starleague, is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. By SCW. Whether you're looking to outfit the office or race like the pros, SCW is where America gets IT. Shop now at scw.com. By Playseat, the official racing chair of eNASCAR. and by Xfinity. Get the reliable connection you need to keep up with the race from start to finish. Unbeatable internet made to do anything so you can do anything. Xfinity, proud premier partner of NASCAR. We are back with coverage of the Coca-Cola 80 here on iRacing. It's part of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NACE Starleague, and Alex Kalanick coming into pit road. He is the first driver, I believe, to make his stop from Rockland Community College. He jumps in as we remind you that if you haven't had the chance to play it, go play World of Outlaws Dirt Racing. It's available now for Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, and the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. I've got it from PS4, Terry Radford. They did an incredible job of mimicking just how hard it is to control the really high-end sprint cars in particular, and with AI and setups tuned by iRacing. First foray into the console world for iRacing, definitely a lot of fun. Also worth noting that the Black Friday sale for iRacing has begun. 50% off of all new memberships and 25% off of renewals and reactivations of 1 year and 2 year, now through December 1st when you log on to iRacing.com/Black Friday. And if you want more information on how to start your iRacing career, you can log on to iRacing.com today.
Yeah, James, the iRacing Black Friday deal is as hot as this battle for second. These two have been on top of each other the entire time. And if you want to race with the pros and you want to race with guys like Garrett Lowe, Logan Clampett, or Steven Wilson, the best way to do it is the Black Friday deals. This is the most wonderful time in iRacing. It's the most wonderful time to be an eNASCAR fan. There's so many amazing things happening. There's just so much across this platform, and it's an honor. It's an absolute honor to be calling these races and to be on this platform with this and to watch racing like this. I mean, you've seen these two go nose to tail for about 10 laps, and it's going to come down to what driver comes down pit lane first is going to determine who's going to finish second here.
You might as well just go ahead and say it's the most wonderful time of the year, Terry. I can hear that you want to say it.
I want to say it so bad. It is the
you
most
might as
wonderful
well.
time of the year, James Pike. This is 50%
go.
off, 25% off renewals. This is my favorite time to be an iRacer right here because there's so many deals.
So those of you who had an Andy Williams reference can check that off your bingo card as we go to Reese Bayham, originally from Richmond, Virginia, currently in Auburn, Alabama, attending Auburn University, part of their engineering program, and racing for position just a little bit further back in these fields. Getting a good look at the fight that he's in and having a lot of fun watching him wheel his way down to the inside, then to the outside, then up on the banking. He currently is in the 20th position, trying to go after Wyatt Harvey and Sean Peleg out of the University of Michigan.
Yeah, War Eagle out here. I lived down there in that part of the woods for a little bit. It's cool to see Toomer's Corner. Look at the patience on his face. Like, he's got to focus. He's got a car to his inside. He has to worry about not hitting the strips. He has to worry about not cutting the track. And he's wrecking loose as well. These tires are shot, and he's feeling it. He's going to have to come down pit road here in a little bit, hadn't pitted yet, but they're screaming.
We are about at the halfway point of this race as we get a good look at Max Swearingen out of St. Louis, Missouri. These drivers all likely going to be coming down pit road if they're going to split this down the middle within the next few laps or so. Swearingen attending St. Louis Community College at Merrimack. So a proud Missourian through and through, making his way to the final chicane right underneath the flag stand and the start-finish line, working his way back towards this tricky turn 1, 2, 3 complex that is arguably the narrowest on this track at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. No more than maybe 2 cars width at best if you're pushing it. And usually that's a place where you want to be single file, Terry.
Absolutely, and you look right here with Mitchell Welker at a Foley. I believe that's Minnesota right there, MN. My Tennessee, graduate out there is not really that great, but you see the different hand positions, you see the different wheels. You saw a lot of people with the regular NASCAR wheels, and then you see more like an F1 style right here, more control in that car. But you see a couple things happening around the racetrack. The 76 has had a good run so far, trying to get a little bit better here and fighting for every position.
I can hear our director, Drew Adamson, coming through our ears. Look at his steering wheel. Look at his steering wheel. But you make a really good point that the F1 style wheels do end up being a little bit more comfortable for some of these drivers. Says, look at this, look at that, look at that. Logan Clampett was able to leapfrog Garrett Lowe coming out of pit road, so a great stop for Clampett, and he now takes over at what would be, I think, second once this cycle's all through. That's a big moment there for Clampett, who was able to pick up almost half a second there. So we'll see how much quicker he may or may not be. We'll wait and see when the rest of the field comes down pit road for service. Keeping an eye on Steven Wilson, your race leader, who comes through NASCAR 3 and 4 and is on pit road this time right at the midpoint of this race as we suspected. So you get a good look at your finalists from the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Came up just a little bit short in the championship 4, but a stellar season. A man who has clear control of the next-gen car, and given that the next-gen sets up well on road courses, maybe not a surprise that he's running well. Nate Stewart also coming in as well for service.
Yeah, I talked about it a little while ago, and it's like I called it, that the battle for second was going to come down to who pitted first and who was better on pit road. But Nate Stewart coming down, he's had a phenomenal run. Like I talked about, he went on Twitter and flat out said, "This is my chance. This is my opportunity to come out here and have a good showing." As these two are still battling each other. Now it's roles reverse. Garrett Lowe had to hold Logan Clampett off. Now Clampett has to hold Lowe off. And look at there. It's 3 seconds. They've kind of closed that gap right here on Steven Wilson. Let's see if they can capitalize on it. If they can capitalize here, James Pike, this is going to be a phenomenal race going into Contender.
They've got to make up the time, though, and Wilson has to be a little bit slower on the cold tires. It'll take a little bit for his tires to come up to temperature, and then once he does, we'll see how quick he is, because you would imagine he'd be marginally faster than Clampett and Lowe, given that his tires are 1 lap fresher. Something we will need to consider as this race enters the closing stages and we wind this Coca-Cola 80 down at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. A good look at Wilson, of course, driver for Stewart Haas Esports in 2022, so a lot of their partners combined with that big old Iowa Hawkeye right on the hood as we get a good look a little bit further back in the field. This is Ryan Gavel and Elliott White fighting for position. Gavel out of Walpole, Massachusetts, racing for Dean College, and Elliott White racing for Howard Community College.
Yeah, this right here, this would be the battle for the 14th position. You used to see them go side by side right here. These two, this has been one of the best battles on the racetrack. Kind of paying attention to it across the board as they go into the chicane right here. This 12 has a little bit of damage too from the earlier incident right there with Mario Miranda, but still has good pace in this car. It's still 15th, still doing a really good job holding off. He's got Hall right behind him in the 16th position. We'll see if he can continue this. He's on pretty decent tires too.
Indeed, just looking here, White has got slightly fresher tires than Gavel. Gavel pitted now 7 laps ago. White pitted 2 laps ago, so a 5-lap difference there. You figure he might be quicker. It's just a little bit further back. You see John Hall making the move as well. We'll go back to Jack Coyne, Minnesota Polytechnical Institute out of Warren, New Jersey. He trying to hold off Noel Fougère, and then James Scioli here, working his way through the field as well. He's in the mix after pit stops, and this is all right around 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th of the racetrack.
Yeah, there's good battles all over this racetrack. There's not a whole lot of bad shows across the board, and this is what makes this race in particular the wild card, because while you have different battles, you have battles within different parts of the racetrack. You know, the leaders are about a half a lap ahead of these drivers, but they're still back here competing. And they're still back here fighting for every little inch of this racetrack, sending it at the corners, pulling a little Ron Fellows, little Boris set of trying to outbreak people through these chicanes and through these tight corners. That's what makes road course racing what it is. It's such a great time as you look at Mario Miranda right here, trying to come back from 20th. He had some issues where he got caught up into some incidents, and now he's having a rebound when he started in the top 10.
Oh, just outside. It started of 11th, currently scored in the 18th position, but good look at that Oklahoma esports machine working its way off into turn 1 and entering the infield portion of the Roval.
Oh, look at it. We caught the wall right there.
It's back in the fence as we get part of the Roval. That's Christina Ryan out of Ohio University right behind her. Meanwhile, a little bit further up, believe this is, or rather a little bit further back, this is Sean Peleg and Jake Cummings. Peleg with that fabulous Wolverine logo from the University of Michigan. And then Jake Cummings out of Wingate University, originally from Pottstown, North Carolina. Helps when you grow up near Pottstown to know how to pronounce that. A lot of people would miss that one. But Peleg from Heartland, Michigan.
I hear they got a big game over there in Michigan at some point in time. Something about Ohio State and Michigan fighting in Ohio State this month. Sorry, the Ohio State, I get corrected. Michigan versus the Ohio State University out here. I hear that's going to be a big college football playoff conversation and whether my Volunteers get in or not.
You call it the Ohio State? I thought if you're in Michigan, it just gets called. Well, yeah. I know Ohio State calls it that. I know Ohio State just calls Michigan that team up north.
Yeah.
They don't like the letter M all that much. I wonder why. We look at Temple College's Thomas Clausen out of Terrell, Texas, racing Longwood University's Jeremy Burns. This is 31st and 32nd on the racetrack.
Yeah, there's so many great things about this college series. And just the college rivalries between us. They make contact right there through the bus stop there. But there's so many passionate fans. College football, basketball starting up, soccer starting. There's so many things in the college world. And, well, you come to sim racing, you got the eNASCAR College Series. We love our college sports just as well as everybody else, and it's good to see fans tuning in and supporting something like this. And the universities. Without them and without these drivers, we wouldn't have nothing to do on a Tuesday night, James.
And a reminder that all these drivers are racing for scholarship money. Don't know if we've got the opportunity to pull up the graphic that details every single little spot, but we do have the info on hand. It's $3,500 to the winner tonight in scholarship money, $250 to 10th place, and varying amounts of scholarship money between second and ninth. In between that, it descends as we get a look at the race for fifth. James Gurley, Nola Fougere, Alex Kolonix, and Jack Corn, and these drivers all racing for what would be $1,500 in scholarship money if they could get to P5.
Yeah, that battle for fifth is really heating up. The seven's holding it right there. Putting some decent lap times down that last time he came by with a 1:23.4. Knowles really fast behind him. He's about 4/10 faster. And then you've got Alex Kolonix and Jake Coyne back there as well. And it's starting to close into this battle. It's interesting to see the good points of the racetrack that every driver's better at. Some drivers are better going into the front stretch chicane, going to the start-finish line. Some are better here on the back stretch chicane. As you're going to see Jack right here trying to make this pass. He looked at it, maybe trying to scare him just a little bit of Alex Kolonix to get him to push out of that groove, maybe overdrive it on the exit, but he didn't. They both held it very straight. But every driver has their own little spot in their niche in this racing surface that they're just better at. And look at the concentration on him down there. He's ready.
I believe the operative phrase is, I just wanted to rattle his cage a little bit. I think that's how that goes. I could be wrong about that. But last I checked, that's usually how this works, right?
I mean, tomato. He got in there. He made Alex think. And that's what a lot of these drivers have to put into their toolbox. If you made a driver move up out of the groove to change their line compared to you, as you look at Will Norton right here, look how the focus on him as well. He's sawing at that thing. That 25 machine's been all over this racetrack in the 17th position. This just shows you the grip level on this racetrack does not exist. Look at that wheel. He's fighting it left and right. Like he's just so focused and determined to keep this thing on the racetrack and out of the wall.
Also, this being the Kansas University car, we could definitely call that a rock chalk white, can't we, Terry?
I think we could. They trolled Tennessee this weekend by tearing the goalpost down and not needing a GoFundMe, but that's fine. As you look at the Cyclones down here, that's Matthew here in a 27 machine. Don't you just love college sports?
Ames, Iowa, good atmosphere for all sorts of people, so I've heard. Good things, genuinely a lot of good things about life at Iowa State as he is trying to fight his way around Max Schwergen out of St. Louis Community College, Merrimack, just ahead of him. So Iowa versus Missouri on tap here, and this is 27th and 28th that you are watching as well. Engine gets a little bit wide there, coming up the hill. This one of the trickiest corners, if not maybe the trickiest corner on the racetrack. They go up that blind hill and come around. Also of note, as we slide to the University of Delaware's Chris Fritz, look down there at the bottom right. That is a VR headset that he is wearing, a different way to run an iRacing, but definitely one that opens up your eyes a little bit. I've had the opportunity to try out VR racing just a little bit, but it really does change the way you move your head around the cockpit and just look at the track around you.
I fight really hard just to stay on the racetrack with my eyes looking at my monitor, much less looking through a VR headset and getting, spun around and getting nauseous from what's in there. But there's so many different ways to come out here and do it. And the best way to do it is still, we kind of have a Black Friday deal as well to go out here and go get your VR headset, have a lot of fun, and come race with these pros. If you're in college, this is a good time to join iRacing.
Is indeed a good time. A good idea if you want to get involved in iRacing as we go to Jordan Johnson, who is fighting Mitchell Welker for that final spot towards the back of the top 10. This is for the last spot in scholarship money as you go on board with Johnson, also running that formula style rim that we talked about in a few cases before. Look at how aggressively Johnson attacks the curbs in his Kent State machine.
Yeah, he's really aggressive there. I mean, you see, look at him. He especially in this corner right here, turn one coming down here into 2 and 3. You talked about this being the most aggressive and one of the hardest corners to master here at the Charlotte Roval. He really had to fight it left and right, sawed at it just a tad bit, and you just see the car control and just the focus, the mental focus that he puts on there. He's just doing a great job.
Really, really solid work here from Johnson. Just has to try and get that $250. It's right there, proverbially speaking. When you look up the racetrack, it is that position separating Jordan Johnson from a little bit of scholarship money at the end of this night. And for some of these drivers here who might be a little bit more inclined to run well on the road courses, this is their best opportunity of the semester to go get some of the scholarship money. And you're seeing a few different names up towards the front of this field. Yes, we know about Stephen Wilson, Logan Clampett, Nate Stewart, some of the ones that we've seen regularly in the college series, but Jack Coyne and James Scioli in particular really making the most of this road course race.
And you absolutely have to, James. I mean, you think about Nashville being next. If you don't get it here, then you kind of have that opportunity where you might have to put a ton more laps down at the Nashville Super Speedway for those, qualifying hot laps before you get into the race. But you look here at the 49 machine, not in position here, but that are in position. I'm sorry, that's third place, trying to catch up to Logan Clampett. These two have battled all race long. That's a difference of some good money to go to your college and your tuition. So we'll see if Garrett Lowe can catch Clampett here in the remaining 9 laps.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a difference in money for sure as we have a good opportunity to look through this. It is, as it stands, $2,500 versus $2,000 to third place. So we see some of these numbers click up just a little bit, but that if you were racing towards the back end of the top 10, that would be 2 spots worth of scholarship money. So the values creep up a little bit more as you go up the pylon and get closer to the front of the field. But look at that. Everybody just attacking, bouncing, basically not even using the racetrack. But that's how you have to get speed here at the Roval at Charlotte. You have to attack the curbs. And at this point, I won't say you don't necessarily have to disregard your suspension, but if you bust it up a little bit, you don't have much at the end of the race, then not really losing too much at this point, at least compared to, say maybe 30 laps ago, or about 30 laps ago, when damaging your suspension would have been a little bit more critical.
What suspension? You go down to the fair down there in Iowa, the prettiest pig might win the best pig competition, but the prettiest car might not have to win this race because aerodynamic suspension, who cares? You got to attack every corner. You have to be aggressive as possible, get everything out of it. It's huge.
On board here with Garrett Lowe, and look at this guy over here on the bottom right. That's Ray Alfalla, and yes, that is the 4-time champ, but he's not running in this race. He is running in the next race. So don't go anywhere, because we will have coverage of the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series following the completion of this eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NACE Starleague, Coca-Cola 80 from the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Blake McCandless and Kenneth Bueno on hand to bring you the action from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway coming up at the top of the hour.
You take a look up here at a guy that's not having to compete in the Contender Series. He was Final Four driver there at an incredible event, James, that you were a part of. As you take a look at the money here, and we're going to go out $3,500, and this guy leading the race he's won a lot of those $3,500. 25 for second, 2,000 for third, all the way back to 250 for 10th. There's a lot of scholarship money on the line, and I say it again, this is a great time to be an iRacing driver, because you have a chance to walk away for some tuition money, and pays for some books, might pay for some lunch, get you in class a couple more times.
And for those who were wondering where that graphic might make an appearance or when that might make an appearance, there you are. So for our visual learners, there's the full chart of positions and payouts and scholarship money for all of the top 10 and the payouts over the course of the semester. It's $15,000 per race, $60,000 in total given out over the course of the semester. And if you want all the latest news and updates from eNASCAR, you can sign up today by taking your mobile device and getting a picture of that QR code that you see on the bottom right on your screen, courtesy of iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR.
Everybody should grab their phone and scan that QR code. There's a lot of great information that comes out from the eNASCAR side of the things. But that event that happened at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, wasn't that just an amazing thing to happen across the board? I mean, Dale Jr. was there. The trophy was awesome. I kind of wish I bought a ticket. Hopefully they do it next season, because I'll definitely have to be a part of it, because this guy right here put a great show on for the fans.
Also worth noting that the next race for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series coming up after this will be on November 29th at 9 p.m. Eastern, right after Thanksgiving in the United States. We go to Nashville Super Speedway for the final race of the fall program for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series, powered by NACE Starleague, and that too will be on iRacing's channels, 9 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, November 29th.
Like, we're going to have to teach you the words to Rocky Top when we go do the Nashville Super Speedway. Hopefully we're together, because, you know, there might be a college that's in the backyard of Lebanon, Tennessee. That college doesn't matter. There's only one in Tennessee that means anything, and Nashville is a amazing racetrack. It's one of the coolest racetracks on the schedule. It's very nice to see it in the eNASCAR College Series, to potentially go out here and see if the Steven Wilson guy can go 4 for 4.
Something I wish that I was on old Rocky Top down in the Tennessee Hills, and so on and so forth, since you asked. As the Black Friday sale is going on at iRacing now through December 1st, 50% off of all new memberships and 25% off of renewals and reactivations of 1 year or 2 years when you go to iRacing.com/Black Friday. I personally take advantage of this deal to re-up my subscription every year. I would recommend that everybody else, if you got the opportunity to do it, head to iRacing.com/Black Friday and do the same. You get the best value on subscriptions at this time of year. And if you've been part of the community for a while, you know that annually, this is when the best deal comes through. Logan Clampett now clear of Garrett Lowe by about a second, and even though the margin hasn't been all that big between these two, you think back to the pit stop and how Clampett and Lowe were together for the most part, and Lowe just had that edge of a lead. It wasn't a lot, and then Clampett was able to jump up, beat him on pit road, get the spot, and he's not looked back since. Pit stops really making the difference between $500 in scholarship money for these two as it stands.
Yeah, you talked about attacking the racetrack. Well, you have to attack pit stops as well. Pit lane, you have to push that limit all the way there. It's at 45 mile an hour on pit road. You have to find a way to get to 46. You have to find a way when it tells you, hey, you got to slow down, to slow it down, pick it back up, and you have to keep playing with that. But these two drivers right here, they have so much talent and so much know-how and knowledge about racing. that shows you that Logan Clampett strategized his way there. He took it, and he hasn't looked back. He's allowed Lowe to catch him a little bit, but nothing too crazy. He's beat him in about 3 sectors around this racetrack, and he's still pushing as hard as possible to go up here and try to challenge that 10 of Stephen Wilson.
Wilson, though, 3.5 seconds up the racetrack. He's got a little bit of a gap. It's not as big as it was, but he's still in pretty good shape as we look at Anthony Burroughs of the St. Charles, or rather, not Anthony Burroughs, Jack Coyne, 53 and 62, looking awfully close to one another as Coyne continuing to push from Minnesota Polytechnic Institute, holding off Jose Solis Jr. As we now bring in the 4th member of our team for this College Series broadcast, but our lead for the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series, Blake McCandless now joins us in the booth. And Blake, I noticed that you've been watching this race as a warm-up to your event coming up in a little bit. How have you enjoyed this event from the Charlotte Roval?
It's been great, James, seeing everything that's going on in the eNASCAR world. Obviously, a lot going on here in this college series. I wish, again, this is something I wish that was going on maybe 4 or 5 years ago when I was in school. That would have been great timing for me. I just missed the bell by a little bit. But, of course, a lot to look forward to tonight. We talk about looking forward to this Contender Series race. Going to the Homestead-Miami Speedway, going to be a quick trip there from Charlotte, or Concord, North Carolina, I guess I should say. But a lot to look forward to tonight, and several drivers that are making their last-minute preparations. So a lot going on in the world of eNASCAR, but of course, Kenneth Bueno and I will be ready to bring you all the action for the eNASCAR Contender Series here in what'll be just a couple of moments after this race wraps up.
A few people better suited to lead that broadcast than Blake, who was a competitor in the Contender Series 1 year ago. He ran in the race at Homestead-Miami Speedway, was one of the few people that actually made the outside lane at Homestead work in the cars, the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We'll have to see if someone tries the old McCandless strategy when we get to Homestead in just a few moments. But for now, all eyes here on Jose Solis Jr., currently in the 9th position, just ahead of Mitchell Welker for that final scholarship money position. But Solis trying to chase down Jack Coyne for position late in the going. Solis got caught up in a little bit of stuff. Remember, he had that incident a little bit earlier on, lost the track position, now trying to get it back and get around Jack Coyne for 8th.
Yeah, he's trying to fight that as well, but here's Garrett Lowe. He's trying to catch Logan Clampett, but Blake McCandless, man, I hope you're still watching. It's not too late to go back to college. You can come out here and race with these boys and see if you can mix it up. Best of luck over there on Contender. It's going to be a great show. I can't wait to watch it. But these two continuously battle. You see them fighting every little position on this racetrack, trying to get as much speed as possible out of these cars with 3 laps to go. This battle's going to come down to the final lap, and I can almost bet you that we could potentially see like a Martin Truex Jr., Jimmy Johnson style finish towards the end of this one, James?
To a point, I'd rather not someone be going backwards.
Well, yeah, we don't want anybody spinning.
Let's save the backwards for the Jeff Gordon commercials from 1997-98. That's when I'm okay with drivers going backwards, when they're having a good bit of fun, and it's not a proper race situation as we continue to watch Garrett Lowe and Logan Clampett fight for position. Lap traffic, though, here in the way, and that could change things as we're coming up towards the end of this Coca-Cola 80. Only 2 laps to go for the leader. Now, the white flag.
Yeah, this is going to change a whole lot of the strategies. You look right here at the leader of Stephen Wilson. He's done a great job. He's a great ambassador for iRacing. He's a great ambassador for Iowa. Just across the board, he has done everything right to put himself in a position here. He's putting on a tear on this field.
Stephen Wilson now largely done with the infield portion of the racetrack and working his way back towards the Roval, looking for his 3rd win in a row in the fall program. Victorious at Homestead-Miami and at Auto Club Speedway earlier in the semester. Trying to make it 3 for 3 and set himself up for a clean sweep opportunity when we get to Nashville Superspeedway at the end of this month. Through the chicane one more time, down on the brakes, back across the curves again and again, and one more chicane for the Iowa Hawkeye of Stephen Wilson to make it through the corner and make his way towards a little bit more cash in his pocket via scholarship money, of course. $3,500 in scholarship money to Stephen Wilson for the 3rd time this semester as he comes across the line, drifts a little bit to win the Coca-Cola 80. and round number 6 of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NACE Starleague for 2022.
What a race, James. What a race. I mean, this is fun.
We will let all these drifts here and these celebrations from Steven Wilson count as tonight's Coca-Cola winning moment of the race, which as always is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. I suppose the drifting turned into a bit of a cruise here. He's decided to just sort of hang out a little bit. Doesn't have to press as hard now that he's got victory. We'll now turn our attention towards the Coca-Cola move of the race and check out some of the best highlights from this Coca-Cola 80 here at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Also a reminder that we've got coverage of the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series coming up on the other side of this race. And also a reminder that you can head to iRacing.com/Black Friday to take advantage of new membership and renewal deals. 50% off new memberships, 25% off of renewals and reactivations. If you log on to iRacing.com/Black Friday, as Steven Wilson celebrates his 3rd win in a row and now passes Daniel Botafuco for the winningest driver all time in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. As you see a little bit of fun from Logan Clampett there in the background, as we will step aside from all the action on the racetrack and get a few good last looks at the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. But Terry, lots of fun had this evening.
It was such a great time. It's always awesome and a pleasure to be here for the eNASCAR College Series. These drivers put it all on the line to represent their school, to represent themselves, and represent their sponsors, to put a great show on for us. And I cannot wait to see Nashville.
Nashville going to be a lot of fun. Steven Wilson, Logan Clampett, Garrett Lowe, your top 3 in tonight's race, followed by Nate Stewart and James Scioli. They rounded out the top 5. Your final 5 scholarship dollar winners for this evening were Anthony Burrows, Alex Kalnix, Jack Coyne, Jose Solis Jr., and Mitchell Welker. So those 10 drivers divvying up the $15,000 in scholarship money that will be going to those 10 drivers. Wilson with the biggest piece of the pie, $3,500 going to him, all the way down to Mitchell Welker, who will get $250 from the pool, and all going away with a little bit of money for their tuition. As we now turn our attention to our race winner, Steven Wilson is standing by with our Terry Radford.
Steven Wilson, you go 3 for 3. You've put on an absolute clinic in every race. What fuels you to come out here and win all these things?
Well, this week I was pretty fueled by just wanting to win, wanting to recover after my pretty abysmal performance in Phoenix a couple weeks ago. But life moves on, so now we're here. We're 3 for 3, and hopefully that moves on to 4 for 4.
Well, you talk about 4 for 4. You're going to go to Nashville next time for the series. How many laps are you going to put down? Is it going to take a lot to practice to get yourself ready to go out here and do it? And thank all those people out there that brings that car to the track every week.
Yeah, of course, those people. Thank you to all those partners, everyone at Sturghaus and Smithfield for being on the car, and Go Hawks. But yeah, I think 4 for 4 is possible. I'm a pretty good fan of Nashville. I think it's a good track. Just have to qualify well. That's usually the key in those oval races. And I think just that'll be the only practice I do. It won't be anything too extensive. I don't think the oval is going to need as many laps to be consistent and perfect as it was tonight. So I think it's possible, but it'll definitely be a hard challenge with who we'll have to race.
Well, Steven Wilson, congratulations on $3,500 and winning here tonight. Can't wait to see you go try to go 4 for 4 at the next outing at Nashville Superspeedway. Thanks for joining us here tonight, and congrats, man.
Thank you, guys.
Get a good look there at some of the drivers getting ready to prepare for the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series. Terry Reinford, lots of fun, though, this evening. Really have enjoyed this Coca-Cola 80, this third race of 4 in the fall campaign for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. One more race to go. Nashville Superspeedway, Time Attack opening up November 11th. So for your calendars, that is this Friday. It opens until November 25th. And then race day, Tuesday, November 29th. And that will round out the calendar in the fall semester 2022 for the eNASCAR College iRacing Series powered by NACE Starleague. We'll give out our final $15,000 worth in scholarship money to get us to that $60,000 total that we are giving away for the fall. Lots of money going to a great cause. And as Blake said, as you said, as I've said, Terry, it would have been so much fun to represent Belmont Happy in this, as we remind y'all that 50% off new memberships, 25% off of renewals and reactivations of 1 year and 2 year in the iRacing Black Friday sale, which you can take advantage of by going to iRacing.com/Black Friday. That now open through the 1st of December, the best time of the year, the best value to renew your subscription, Terry Radford. If you're going to do it in the month of November. Do it during this Black Friday sale.
Come be a part of this greatness. Come be a part of the iRacing community. I love seeing new members out here on the racetrack from the rookie level all the way up to the A licenses. Come be a part of this. There's so much opportunity here. I love iRacing so much, and 50% off new members. And go renew.
All right. Well, that will just about wrap up our coverage from the eNASCAR College iRacing Series Coca-Cola 80 from the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Terry Ranford and the team at iRacing. I'm James Pike. We now send you over to Kenneth Bueno and Blake McCandless for coverage of the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Blake, I think we're in for more fun tonight in iRacing.
It's certainly so. And again, of course, you can be part of the fun on iRacing with 50% off all new memberships as well. Of course, if you're a returning member like me, you have 25% off of renewals and reactivations of either 1 year or 2 years, 12 months, or 24 months. So be a part of the fun. You can be a part of this series next season. You never know if you sign up now and get to be a part of the Road to Pro ladder in 2023. But this is the 14th season for the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series, but the stakes have never been higher. Only 6 races remain in the quest to determine the starting field for the 2023 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series as these drivers prepare to take on the critically acclaimed Homestead-Miami Speedway. I'm Blake McCandless, joined alongside by my broadcast partner in the booth tonight, and Kenneth Bueno. And Kenneth, a week ago, the first statement was made for many of these drivers looking to reach the top of the ladder and climb their way to the Coke Series next season, but Homestead looms large as a place where you can pad your current point standing or reset if things didn't go so well as we take a look at the rest of the schedule.
That's exactly the point, Blake McCandless. It's the statement from Phoenix in the first race of the Contender Series. Either tonight is a build-up off of that statement, or it's a full-on response based on what happened 1 week ago. And this is going to give us the first chance at a 1.5-mile intermediate racing for the field. So if, let's say, some of the guys in this field aren't necessarily short-track veterans, short-track kings, tonight is the opportunity for them to master the larger track in Homestead-Miami Speedway and be able to capture some well-needed points on the route to the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series bid for 2023.
Well, as you take a look right here at the Road to Pro ladder, of course, the qualifying iRacing Series, you can see all the way on the left. Well, we're well past that. That was with the trucks. We determined the 70 drivers through round 1 down to 20 for round 2 that supplemented us into the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series where we currently sit right now. We've run one of a scheduled 7 races for this Contender Series, and after that we will determine the 20 drivers from this series. The top 20 will have their chance to take on the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series in 2023. So a lot to be determined in these cars, which of course follow, as you can see at the very bottom, you can see the trucks for the qualifying Road to Pro iRacing Series, the Xfinity cars, which we'll be using tonight, and of course course, the next-gen cars in the NASCAR Cup Series. But these cars are rolling on the grid, Kenneth, as we're going to take a look at how they're starting. And I think somebody going to be very happy after last week. Vicente Salas, after winning at Phoenix, he is at the top of the board once again. 32.607 will put him on the front row. In North Force Racing Zone, Derek Justice will make up your top 2 spots.
Yeah, great qualifying effort, Blake, for the driver, the 31 Justice, who didn't necessarily have the greatest race in the first one at Phoenix just 1 week past, and Vicente Salas only going to try to continue on his momentous run back to the Coke Series for 2023. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of solid names though at the front. Timmy Holmes in the 67. I'm seeing Tyler Gary, who finished in the top 10 1 week ago at Phoenix. Derek Bordeaux, Seth the Merchant, around all those guys in the top 10, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But Vicente Salas, right in the same place he left off from Phoenix, looking to lead us to green.
You see right there, Falkingham and Tucker Minter will complete your top 10. And just like any official series, 1 pace lap. The pace car going to dive to the safety of pit lane as the field will work its way out of turn number 4. Green flag is in the air. We are set for 100 laps in the second race of the 2022 eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series. And already you see some drivers starting to venture way up the racetrack. Seth the Merchant was one of them as he went all the way to the wall to try to make up some time here on this opening lap. Salas is clear by a couple of car lengths over what is now a battle for second between Derek Justice and Timmy Holmes.
And they're going to make it 3 wide behind them as Salas looks to run away from the field. I saw Caden Honeycutt, Blake, move to the middle, 3 wide on the back straightaway. That was in between Tucker Minter and Dylan Alt. Looks like Daniel Falkingham might have had a loose moment there in the middle of turn 3, so he wipes up the racetrack, and Caden Honeycutt makes it into the last spot in the top 10. 3, 4 wide, many lanes you could use, Blake, here at this Homestead-Miami Speedway, and they are making good use of it in the opening 2 laps.
Well, one thing about this Homestead-Miami Speedway, as I competed in this race last year, is you can venture up to that wall. You can make a lot of time, especially here on these restarts in the early part of the run. But I don't know how often you'll see drivers make all their way up to the top of the racetrack, as the tires do a number up there. As you can see, Ray Alfala right there. This is all the way back outside the top 20. Ray Alfala right now running in the 25th position, and he's probably one of the biggest stories coming into this race, Kenneth. Ray Alfala, who's been he was a part of the inaugural Pro Series or Contender Series in 2009. He has been a part of the competitive eNASCAR ladder as long as it has been around, and yet here he is here. Didn't exactly have a great run at Phoenix, as well outside the top 20 or top 21 that we're going to take into the Coke Series. So our eyes are on him, and not a great qualifying effort, unfortunately, for him, but he's up 5 spots since the drop of the green flag.
But the one thing that Ray has, Blake, over a lot of the drivers in this field is the experience. He's been in the Coke Series for so long. He's been in this Contender Series for many years on end as well, and he's performed at the top level. And even with these Xfinity cars, he's done formidable against these guys, been able to dominate some races, and that's why you continuously see him at the top level of eNASCAR often over year after year after year. He's been so good. He's called 4-time for a reason, and right now picking up some spots in the field, so a solid early progression for the driver of the 51 as he works to the middle. Looks like a couple of drivers up top, but everybody so far, Blake, not wanting to venture too far out as Vicente Salas clears ahead by roughly half a second.
Gee, you saw one driver really loose back there. That was Blaze Crawford as Alfala made his way by. As you take a look on Derek Justice right now, currently running in the 2nd position. Finished in the top 3 here at this track in this series 2 years ago. Didn't exactly have a great run when I was a teammate of him last year, but showing you why that he is stuck around in this eNASCAR ladder. Definitely did not have a series to write home about last year or this past season in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. But when it comes to this Xfinity car, Derek Justice, very attuned, knows what he needs underneath his race car, and you can see exactly why. Qualifies 2nd and currently runs there right now.
A very composed driver Derek Justice is, but he may have some pressure behind you. Look at the battle for 3rd right now. Timmy Holmes and Derek Bordeaux, the 67 and the 04 going at it. Looks like they're about to go at it as they head back to turn 1. But Derek Justice, one of the potential 6 North Force Racing cars in this eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series field, Blake, and that's going to help a lot of the teammates. They've got young guns in there as well. You look at guys like Parker White, and then Derek Justice being one of the older, more experienced guys who's had experience at the Coke Series level. And Justice looking to properly respond, finished 29th 1 week ago at the Phoenix Raceway. So this definitely so far over the first 7 laps has been a proper response so far.
It has, and we take a look here at Dylan Alt, which, by the way, we're talking about a busy night in eNASCAR. How about Dylan Alt, who was running in that race earlier at Charlotte? And I can say that is a big commitment from Dylan Alt. When you think about how much effort goes into this series for these drivers, all the prep, all the setup work and everything, they are working down to the very last second before this race starts on what they have to do tonight. And Dylan Alt said, you know what, I'm going to try to compete for some money for college and work my way into the Contender Series and back into the Coke Series next season. So Dylan Alt, a very busy night for him, as he's doing pretty solid right now, running in the 11th position for Elliott Sadler.
Can we call it the double for Dylan Alt tonight?
I guess
college,
we can.
Ran Contender. But yeah, Alt has been so good, and he ran the College Series race as well, Blake, here at Homestead-Miami a couple of weeks back, and he was one of the best drivers. Wasn't able to overcome completely Steven Wilson, who won that race, but Alt finished well within the top 3, had such a strong run, and it looks like he's building on that right now, P11, and working on some of the Altus Esports guys, Ryan Doucette, Seth the Merchant, if he can move up to P9.
And you see a lot. You're going to see a lot of that in this series. A lot of orange, a lot of blue. Those Logitech cars. There's a lot of them in this series. As we ride on board with Daniel Falkingham, you see a couple different lines here. Some drivers going to the bottom. Some drivers going all the way to the top, or at least above that seam. Multiple lanes down there on the bottom. As man, look at all the memorabilia that Daniel Falkingham has right there. That is a great sim racing setup, if you will.
I am jealous. I am very jealous because of all the diecast he's got behind him. But look at the setup most notably. It looks a little normal at first glance, but then you take a look at the details. He's looking to his right. Most drivers in sim have the monitor completely centered where they're looking forward right over the top of that steering wheel, but Falkingham is looking to the right. So a unique, comfortable setup here for the driver, the number 39. We saw him get a little bit loose in the opening laps into turns 3 and 4, but has since collected himself back through, sitting P14 right now. But just one of the many unique setups that like a lot of drivers can have on iRacing just based on how comfortable they are.
Well, look, I don't know if it looks quite comfortable to me. It reminds me of dirt racing almost. You'd want to be looking to the right, and here is Falkingham, who, you know, he's obviously not on the dirt track right now, but you know what? For any of these guys, if they get to this level of competition, they can have the setup the way they want it. I think that's good enough. If they can be here, they can have whatever they want. I mean, I have a 13-year-old steering wheel when I was driving in this series last year, so whatever works, whatever is comfortable, that's what you need to go with.
That's the great thing about sim racing, though, Blake, is that you can have anything. You could have a 13-year-old steering wheel. You can have one that just came out last year, a couple of months ago. I know Logitech G came out with a direct drive wheel not too long ago, but it's any type of setup that you would want, just depending on the circumstance, depending on how comfortable you are, as you look with Ray Alfala once again a little further back in the field.
And we rode with him a little bit earlier. He is now up to the 24th position, is Ray Alfala, although you can see a challenge there from the outside. Blade Witt, part of the Coke Series each of the last 2 seasons, is trying to maintain his spot in that series. And Blade Witt able to do a little bit of early work right there. Makes that pass look fairly simple on Ray Alfala, so he'll slot back into 25th. And Alfala, his last time down in this series, it wasn't that much of a struggle for him. He was the series champion back in 2019, won a couple of races over the midst of that season, but right now Alfala a little bit behind the 8 ball as the competition gets ever so tougher to try and keep your spot in that series. You can see some names scroll across the top of your screen. I mean, look at Briar LaPrade. He's running 37th right now. He was a part of the Coke Series last year and was very strong in this race at this track last year. That's how tough the competition is.
And that's a point, Blake, that we made in the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series a couple of months before we started tonight's race, and even 1 week ago to start the Contender series, was that this field was so competitive. There are so many drivers that have an equal shot at getting into the Coke Series for 2023. Doesn't matter if they're a young gun, doesn't matter if they're a veteran, they are all so competitive, and that's what makes a series like this so well put together and so well blended.
Well, and speaking of a driver who has been here a number of times, Jordi Lopez Jr., it's not often that you see drivers rise up to this level and immediately get their spot in the Coke Series. Sometimes it takes a little bit of stalling out. It takes some failed attempts, and Lopez knows a little bit of that, has been very strong for a number of years in the Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series down to the truck level, and just hasn't had everything come together at the right time in this series, and that's something that can happen in a 7-race runoff, if you will. But Lopez and that Logitech G Altus group, you can see Michael Cozy, teammate, right behind him, running inside the top 20, which at the end of the day, that's the marker that you would be aiming for to finish. If you can finish in the top 20 in every single race, regardless if you're winning, Kenneth, or you're 19th, you'll be moving on to the Coke Series. So I'm sure this is a run they'll take right now.
Yeah, the Contender Series, most notably, is all about consistency, how well you can put these races together, even if you're not outright the fastest car on the racetrack or winning every single race. Jordi Lopez Jr. just trying to hold on to his consistent run at the moment, but he does have a couple of patrons in front of him. Kevin King, Cody Bias, Alan Bose, all on a single file train that moves pretty far up to the field. A lot of these guys not completely separate. And Jordi Lopez Jr. does have a teammate behind him, Michael Cozy Jr., in the number 99. So a little help and potentially some targets here as you take a look at Cozy Jr. and Lopez Jr., the two juniors for Altus Esports.
You can see a lot of focus and a lot of communication goes on before these races as they're trying to chase down a driver in front of them who was a part of the inaugural Contender Series in 2009. There's only 2 drivers who were in that first series that are running here tonight. That is Kevin King and Ray Alfala that have been doing this for quite a long time. So you have some newcomers and some, I wouldn't say young faces, but just newer faces, and Lopez Jr. and Cozy Jr., who have been doing this for the last handful or couple of years or so. And then you have Kevin King, who has been at this as long as iRacing, Kenneth, relatively has existed.
And a lot of these guys looking for the redemption, not able to make the Coke Series, or for Kevin King, hasn't been in the Coke Series in a long while. So this statement for 2022 may be a big one if they can put it together. And you're watching Jordi Lopez Jr. fall a little bit shy of Kevin King at last time by, although he was a tad bit faster, just keeping the maintained gap. As there's a look at Kevin King right in front of Jordi Lopez Jr., the Dominican driver. And for Kevin King, he's looking on right now Cody Bias, and they have a front row seat as well, Blake, to a battle inside the top 15. Daniel Falkingham and Parker White going at it.
Well, when you look at Kevin King here, you think about a lot of names who were around at that time. You think about Tyler Hudson, who was a part of this series. How about even Ryan Bauer? He's been behind the scenes with us a number of times. He was a part of the first Contender Series back in 2009. A lot of names: Dale Earnhardt Jr., TJ Majors, Richard Towler, Parker Kligerman, Matt DiBenedetto. I mean, the list goes on and on of drivers who have had at one point or another what they call a black stripe on the service, a pro or Drivers World Championship license that, of course, now leads into the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And this is a young man's game, I guess, Kenneth. Over the last couple of years, this series, the competitive ladder has looked a little bit younger, but it's nice to see that there's some staying power and drivers like Kevin King, drivers like Ray Alfala, who are able to do this for a very long time and do it at a high level.
It's somewhat of a solid balance, and it kind of makes this series and iRacing a lot more unique than a lot of other esports. Most others, you see the young guns take over immediately, and all the guys, if you're around for 2 or 3 years, you're considered a quote-unquote veteran, a washed-up one, and you could easily get replaced by all the younger guys. But you see these drivers like Kevin King, you look at Ray Alfala, all these guys are older, but they're still contending well with these younger drivers. So it's awesome to see the balance there in this Contender Series, as this is a nice battle brewing up, Blake, for second on back.
Contending well, no pun intended, as you can see right there. Derek Justice running in the second position. Was under assault there for just a moment by Timmy Holmes and Derek Bordeaux, who have look to be very strong and are all trying to chase down Vicente Salas, who, aside from pit strategy, has led every single lap in this eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series so far this season, as we are on lap 24 of 100 of our second race. The biggest thing to look forward to here, Kenneth, though, I think, is the strategy that these drivers can employ. Of course, you'll have some that I think go to that 50-lap marker. We looked earlier, our fuel window is around 55 laps or so, give or take, so you can definitely get to halfway. But I wonder if there's going to be some drivers that try to two-stop this, that think around lap 30, lap 33 or so, they're going to try to make their way to pit road and see if there's not some time that can be gained through trying to two-stop it by having fresh tires, because we know how much the fall-off happens here at Homestead-Miami.
Yeah, that is going to be big. Tires are going to come at a premium as we take a look on the bottom left of our screen. The iRacing race analysis from Homestead-Miami. And you're right, Blake. These guys can go roughly halfway through the race on just that one stop. Just 100 laps, 150 miles, just over 240 kilometers here in South Florida. But I do want to point out the pit road speed limit at that 50-mile-per-hour mark. But it is a tough entrance when you're braking and turning left into the apron at the same time. We've seen many guys be caught up with speeding penalties. A lot of guys even miss pit road if things go completely awry. So I got to watch out for that pit road speed limit. And also the tire sets available, only 3. So you have to make good use of the amount of times you come down for service.
And one of those sets of Goodyear Eagles are on their cars right now. So there are 2 sets on pit road. That's something that if we get some yellow flags here tonight, will come into play. Of course, this race last year went caution-free, so didn't have to worry about that last year. But, of course, as we were mentioning earlier, the Black Friday sale is upon us. It is 50% off. That's right, 50% off of all new iRacing memberships. So if you haven't been on the service before, please come and join us. We'd love to have you be a part of the iRacing experience for 50% off. And of course, you're watching this race, you're a member of iRacing yourself. There's no better time to renew your subscription for 12 or 24 months with 25% off on Black Friday. Kenneth, I know every single year this is around the time I look to re-up my iRacing because there's always a nice little discount coming with it. So I'm probably actually going to do that after this race is over, to be quite honest with you.
You know, you said 50%. My mouse immediately went to the iRacing website. I was about to re-up as we're doing the broadcast right now, but it is a great deal. And if you're not on iRacing, it's the perfect time to get a subscription. And there's a lot of exciting things for 2023 on the service. So if you're not on the service, definitely worth joining. And if you already are a member, you got to get on this deal because it's going to be a lot of fun to be able to save a little bit of money and have the service and be able to re-up it once again. Here's a look at Parker White, though. P14, one of the younger drivers in this Contender Series, Blake, out from Maine. And look at the rig there. I think a couple of monitors and a flight rig in the back. He is a flight enthusiast, an airplane enthusiast. He does have an Instagram account based on plane spotting, so pretty cool.
A man of many talents is Parker White, who has really taken this series by storm. When I think of just pure raw talent, the likes of when we saw Donovan Strauss kind of make his way up and through the series, that's kind of what I see in a Parker White who has just had so much speed, hasn't really had many seasons worth of experience in this competitive ladder, but has immediately hit the ground running and has been a part of some strong runs. Started back in 20th in this race. He's in 14th right now, so he's running up front. And, of course, you can see right there up front, you can see Vicente Salas right now, who has been dominating this race, has started to slip a little bit. That lead starting to shrink ever so slightly right now. But Vicente, I don't think it can start much better than this. You get a win, you get all those 40 maximum points you get for it, and then you come out, win the pole for your second race. I mean, these early races, Kenneth, they are so important to get off on a good foot, and there's no way that Vicente could start better than he has so far in this Contender Series.
Yeah, more often than not, Blake, if you start well, chances are you're going to build on that, and you're going to finish well to follow when you get all the way to Texas Motor Speedway to close off this 2022 season. And for Salas, a win isn't even necessary from Homestead-Miami. You got the win in Phoenix, yes. Another win would be fantastic to only build on the buffer between himself and the entire Contender Series field. But even if he doesn't come away with a win tonight, he's already got so much speed behind the wheel of this Toyota Supra that he would be able to finish in a top 5, top 10 and grab some solid points in this intermediate race. But you watch Derek Justice, he is closing in ever so slightly. That last time by, 34.950 for Justice, 35 flat for Vicente Salas. So Justice on the way to potentially take away the race lead and give us our first lead change of the night.
How about Malik Ray right now, who's running 3 wide? Daniel Falkingham starting to falter quite significantly, as he may have had a little bit of an issue or just got very loose, so he gets split 3 wide. Malik Ray will try to make his way up. Here we have Taylor Hurst, who was awfully strong. I believe he was second 2 years ago in this race, in this series. As you see, almost contact there between Malik Ray and Michael Cozy Jr. just up the road. So Taylor Hurst trying his best to crack into the top 20. We're starting to see a lot of fall off here, Ken. At this point in the run, drivers who have really saved their tires are starting to make their way forward. Malik Ray, one of the best of them. He's up 11 spots since the drop of the green flag, and Daniel Falkingham, probably the opposite example, started 9th, is back to 25th right now, as there is a battle for the lead up front. Derek Justice is all over the back bumper of Vicente Salas.
And he's going to look to the inside this time through. I think he backs out, though, understands he did not want to take that risk, and Vicente Salas could have easily pinched him in the middle of 1 and 2. Justice going to look higher up the progressive banking here out of the second corner, but they are also inviting Timmy Holmes in the 67. So while Justice is trying to play offense, he may have to look in the rearview mirror and play some defense. Here comes Holmes to the inside. The 67 will go. Justice will try and pinch down low. Holmes cannot make the run happen, and Justice will hold on to P2 for now.
You see Justice able to hold on. And by the way, Vicente will be at the SKUSA Super Nationals at the Rio in Las Vegas next week, the biggest championship event in the United States for karting. So, of course, we wish him well. I know he even ran a late model at Hickory Motor Speedway earlier this year. So we have a lot of iRacers who are getting it done, both in the real world and in the virtual world. I mean, you can look a little bit further back. How about Caden Honeycutt? Had his career best NASCAR Camping World Truck Series finish at Phoenix in the championship race, finished 9th in that race. It was the first top 10 for his team at a non-short track or plate track since 2019 Las Vegas. So Caden Honeycutt doing a great job in that number 30 truck. He runs the number 30 tonight as well. You can see the paint scheme matches exactly what he's running in the real world as well.
You know, it's so surreal watching Caden Honeycutt, Blake, right now on the racetrack in Sim. And I was there at Homestead watching the truck race and seeing him. I was pretty much directly straight from his pit stall in the grandstand. So it is crazy to see Caden Honeycutt both race in real life in the truck series at Homestead, and then a couple of weeks later driving in sim at Homestead-Miami Speedway with these Xfinity Series cars. But Honeycutt has made a progressive move through the front. He started 13th. He's up to P7. Not the largest charger by any stretch of the imagination, but Honeycutt doing some good work here. Next driver up, Tyler Gary in P6.
Yeah, Gary doing a solid job there in P6. I thought that driver behind him would make a little bit more of a charge to the front. Colin Keister, the defending winner of this race in this series. He started 19th in this race, and again, I was a teammate of his, and I lost 4 spots during the race. He drove up from about 20th and won. So I was thinking that at some point we would see Colin Keister a little bit further up the road than where we see him right now. You can see Parker White once again still running in that 14th position. You have Alan Bowes right in front of him, who competed in the Coke Series this past season. Also have Wyatt Tinsley. A lot of North Force Racing being represented. The two-time, I guess when you talk about iRacing teams, they have won this race each of the last 2 seasons. Then you have Nathan Lyon, who won in 2019, representing Dead Zone Racing, who is represented by that car that is directly behind Wyatt Tinsley and Alan Bowes.
And Wyatt Tinsley here, look on the rear end of his Toyota Supra, the driver out of Hampton, Virginia, one of the newer entrants into this eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series, had a successful Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series campaign to couple with the driver 2 spots behind him in Parker White, who's looking on Alan Bowes a little bit there for P13 on the racetrack. And Tinsley, coming off of a strong run at Phoenix 1 week ago, Blake, finished inside the top 10, finished 7th, one of the more consistent cars all night long. So Tinsley only looking to build on that here at Homestead, and it is working so far. Maybe a couple of spots that it could be taken away with the likes of Dylan Alt, Tucker Minter, and others in front of him, but Tinsley putting up a solid performance so far.
You can see these cars that are really able to carry a lot of entry speed here. This is James Wenzel back here in the 38th position. Unfortunately got involved in a lap 1 incident at Phoenix a week ago. and started back in 38th. I would know a thing or two about that. I think my average start in this series last year was like 37th or something like that. So I know it is difficult for James Wenzel if you try to start here in the back. At this point, Kenneth, I would kind of think alternate strategy. Maybe you try to pit 10 laps early or something like that, catch a caution, because clearly right now, at least the way things are going, the pace just quite isn't there. You maybe need to think outside the box if you can't make that happen. So Wenzel, as well as Casey Tucker, Daniel Smallwood in a bad position right now. We also have one driver who is behind the wall. Kyle Myers disconnected from the race, had a little bit of an internet issue, I believe. So Kyle Myers, unfortunately, 10 laps down. It looks like he's going to have to write this off as a drop week for him, which that is a good note as well. 7 races, only your top 6 in terms of points scored to count towards the overall point standings.
Yeah, that's going to mean a lot by the time we get to Texas Motor Speedway. But to touch on James Wenzel, yes, you definitely need to have somewhat of an alternate strategy, and he's got a teammate a couple of spots in front of him as well for Alta C Sports. So they may have to put out that blueprint. We're already at lap 42. We're getting closer to that fuel window, so you have to try something different because this race has gone green the entire way throughout Phoenix. You had maybe a couple opportunities early to change a strategy or do something different with some of the carnage we had in the opening laps, but so far this race has been perfectly clean. We've had no real issues on track or contact between drivers. So if you're Wenzel, you have to do something, and you got to do something quick.
Well, and that's typical for this series because it's one thing when every single spot you're fighting, you're clawing for money, for points, for prestige for your team like you get in the Coke Series, but it seems like in this ladder, drivers, especially once they're above that threshold, when they're inside the top 20, they tend to be a little bit smarter about things, that they know that there's another lap to fight for, that, you know, of course it's great to win, it's great to run in the top 5 and get the best finish you can, but you can even see right there in that battle between Parker White and Tucker Minter, a lot of room being given, drivers just kind of recognizing that it's not worth trying to do something irrational. But speaking of, I wouldn't say irrational, but definitely outside of the box, you see Ray Alfalla, who had fallen back outside of the top 30 on that run. He's doing exactly what we were talking about earlier, Kenneth. Things aren't going your way. Why not try something? And so Ray Alfalla right now going to be on fresh tires, and he's going to run over this field for now with about a 10-lap tire advantage. But back up front, battle for the race lead between Vicente Salas and Derek Justice.
I like that call by Alfalla. Change things up. Make a difference out of the rest of the field. Don't be following everybody. Don't be on some monkey see, monkey do type thing. You just do something different. Go on pit road. Try to see if this strategy works. And if it doesn't, oh well, you know you tried. As you look at Justice, still hounding on Vicente Salas. The only thing that Justice hasn't been able to do is to get around Salas. So that definitely shows you how good Salas has been on the defensive end. But now we've got some more drivers to join Ray Alfalla as ones to pit. You bring in Taylor Hurst. You bring in Ryan Doucette, Alan Bowes, all in for the pit stop.
And Taylor Hurst came in. Briar LaPrade was another name I heard call over the radio. There's Ryan Doucette, who was very strong in this race a couple years ago in this series. Finished up in the top 5. But they are 3 wide right now. That car on the bottom, that's Ray Alfalla. You can see visually the difference that fresh tires make while everybody else is ailing on those old tires, and the field is responding. So perhaps Ray Alfalla looking to try to gain some spots. The rest of the field is going to respond to that as we see many more drivers winding up a little bit short of that 50-lap marker to try to gain some spots. We saw Seth the Merchant that last lap. He went all the way to the wall in 1 and 2 to try to make it work. So drivers trying a lot of different strategies now as they open up the racetrack, and continue to see that battle for the race lead within half a car length between your top 2.
And it's so interesting to watch as well, Blake, because you always have that big waiting game. Who's going to pit first? And most of the time, sometimes the driver who does pit first isn't necessarily gaining so much in the later part of the run. As you look at the number 27 machine of Cody Bias coming on for service in his Toyota Supra. But it's a big waiting game to see who comes first. Alfalla did it, and then everyone said, all right, Alfalla's in, let's follow him. Let's try to come down pit road, and let's maybe jump these leaders who are staying out. Look at this intense battle, though, around the latter half of the top 10 and even stretching to the top 15. They are 3 wide all over the racetrack. Dylan Alt in the middle. You look at a couple of drivers all over the track, Tucker Minter, Parker White, and it is getting unbelievably intense for position going back to turn 1.
Oh, man, and this was all caused by contact between Dylan Alt and Colin Keister. It kind of stacked up the rest of the field. You can see Alfala there on the top going by on the fresh tires, and here comes Derek Justice down in the bottom in 3 and 4. Salas going to go up top. And we will see if Justice can pull off this move. Oh, a little bit of a slide there as he gets onto the apron. Salas going to be able to use that top side to hold on. 52 to go as we nearly split this race halfway. So Justice battling to try and catch Vicente Salas, and Colin Keister going to take advantage and try to come down pit road. He has completed the service on his pit stop. So Keister, after getting a little bit of a bump there from Dylan Alt, going to not punish his tires any longer, and he's going to short pit this by just 1 or 2 laps of halfway, as we are hearing a ton of calls to come down pit road this time, Kenneth.
This is going to be a big portion of drivers as their contact in the midfield. Derek Justice hitting pit road this time through. He'll lock up the brakes a little bit. He'll try to avoid a potential speeding penalty. Some more drivers in. Wyatt Tinsley, Parker White in that group to follow. But I saw some contact around the 33 of Taylor Hurst, and I think it might have been Tucker Minter that he got into. Fortunately, they all saved it, so no caution, but a big moment there, and that may lose them a ton of track position.
It was Tucker Mentor and Kevin King that made contact into turn number 3. They exchanged some words. They weren't so happy with one another, but they're going to have to pit here in short order. You can see there is Vicente Salas making his way down to the pit lane, so your race leader is in for service. He'll pull another couple drivers with him. Derek Bordeaux has made his way onto pit road. Timmy Holmes directly behind them. Kevin King, Tucker Mentor. So most of our drivers who have made their way down starting to do so right now, and Seth the Merchant, Kenneth, is doing something a little bit different. He's been running the top side of the racetrack, which we haven't seen a ton of outside of the initial start of this race. And I think he's trying to make speed up there. We hear how much the tires wear on the top side, but I think if you save them properly, there's a lot of speed up there, and DeMerchant taking advantage of that at the end of the run, and oh man, did he about almost hit the pit barrels there.
Oh man, that was so close. I talked about it, Blake, when we touched over the iRacing race analysis. You do not want to make a mistake coming on a Homestead-Miami Speedway pit road, because that could easily happen to you. And if he was maybe a couple of inches more to the right, that would have been a solid visitation to those yellow tire barriers. Fortunately, though, the Merchant is able to keep it stable. He's able to hold on to pit road, and I believe he escapes without a pit road speeding penalty to follow. So the Merchant gets saved. Here's your new race leader, Dylan Alt, going to transfer it over to Andrew Navarro, who will stay out, and Alt's going to come in for the first time tonight.
So Dylan Alt is in. Andrew Navarro is right now on the racetrack. Talked to him before the race last week and asked him how are things going to be different for a first-timer in this series? Why are you going to be somebody that makes his way into the Coke Series? And he noted the preparation by all of his team at Tranquility Esports and all that they do to support him. Right now, it hasn't exactly been going his way tonight, but right now he is your race leader, still out on the racetrack. Casey Tucker has also not made his way to pit road just yet, but it looks like Navarro going to do so this time around and call over the radio. So is Casey Tucker. So it looks like this round of pit stops will conclude. And as far as things cycle out, Kenneth, this would be your race leader, Alan Bowes, who came down pit road at lap 45 is when he made his trip down pit lane. So short pitted a little bit, got himself some track position out of it.
Yeah, but I wonder here how big the difference is going to be between himself and Derek Justice. It's roughly 4 or 5 laps, and that does mean a lot here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. You saw when Ray Alfala came down pit road, tires are at a premium at this track, because although it isn't the most abrasive on the oval side of things, it does wear out your tires significantly. And as Derek Justice tries to hound in on second place Ryan Doucette, it is only a couple of more car lengths before he will get to Alan Bowes. And this is a solid strategy for Justice here, who is able to leapfrog Vicente Salas and keep pace in front of him. So if Justice can get in some clean air ahead of Vicente, this may be a proper change for the lead and maybe a change for the race win into 45 laps to go.
We'll see if it works out for Derek Justice, as Alan Bowes has inherited the race lead and is just about half a second in front of the Baskin-Robbins Toyota. But it has been an eventful night in eNASCAR competition. Of course, we had the eNASCAR College iRacing Series that ran just a little bit earlier from the Roval at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And it was eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver in Steven Wilson that ended up taking the win in that race. And he's done a number. I remember talking to him at the championship race in Charlotte at the Hall of Fame. He said, so far in the College Series, I've run $7,000 in a free laptop, is what he had won already. And that was before tonight, Kenneth.
Yeah, he had won the 2 races in a row. One of them here at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. But you look at some of what happened earlier tonight in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. A lot of beating and banging, a lot of interesting moves. You see that slide by a new bigging there. I saw that live on the broadcast talking with James Pike. Here's a great battle between Scioli and Nate Stewart, the 4 and the 7. This is inside the top 3. But you're right, Steven Wilson absolutely dominated the field, and he's one of the guys looking on the sidelines in a good way for this race tonight at Homestead for the Contender Series. He's already very well locked into 2023 on the Coke side of things. And the next race, November 29th, in a couple of weeks from Nashville Superspeedway.
And that's a very difficult racetrack at Nashville Super Speedway to try to tackle. So these college iRacing Series drivers will have their hands full, as they did tonight. The Charlotte Roval is not exactly an easy one, especially here in this NASCAR Xfinity Series car. I was able to attend that race in real life, and boy, were those drivers having to wheel it around that racetrack. So while we were away from the action, Derek Justice has pulled out to about an 8 or 9 car length lead over Alan Bowes. So Derek Justice right now your race leader. Another unfortunate thing to report of a driver that we were following along earlier, Jordy Lopez Jr. speeding on pit road. He had to come down a second time and serve a time penalty. So Jordy Lopez Jr. 2 laps down, running in the 39th position is Jordy Lopez Jr. You can see Ray Alfalo right now. Kenneth kind of on the flip side of that tire strategy, got some track position, but he's going to lose it now being on some older tires.
And the fact that he pitted a little bit earlier means most likely he's going to have to pit again before this race is all said and done, which is going to mean more track position loss, maybe a gain in that last leg of the event once we get closer to lap 100, but it is going to be a tough trek, and he may even lose a lap if he comes down to pit road, because we're probably certain, Blake, that nobody else is going to come in. Here's a look further up to the field. Vicente Salas has gone by Ryan Doucette, has gotten by Joey Brown, and now looking on Alan Bowes. I was worried a little bit, Blake, whether Salas was able to get through some of the dirty air and some of the traffic to catch up to Derek Justice, but so far it looks like it seems to be good for the moment.
Well, and I think that difference, Kenneth, was on pit road, getting onto pit road. We talked about how difficult it is, especially this racetrack, to get onto pit road. You think about some eNASCAR mishaps that have happened. I know Nathan Lyon had a pretty interesting contact with the barrels. We saw it almost a little bit earlier in this race, but it looks like Justice was just able to get in a little bit better right now than Vicente, and exit and has the fresher tires, and will look to drive away and try to make it a win here for Derek Justice tonight. Salas in second, makes his way by Alan Bowes. So does Joey Brown in third. And now Bowes kind of starting to suffer a little bit on those older tires. But Justice, Salas, and Brown sitting pretty right now. And, you know, Kenneth, this is why in these races execution matters so much. Everybody spreads out a little bit. And, again, we kind of get into that period of time where everybody's going to try to take care of each other. If you're in the top 20, a point here or there, it's definitely important, but it's not worth losing 15, 20, 25 points. And you'll see some respectful racing as we look at the battle for 7th around Tyler Gary.
And the big thing you don't want to do, Blake, is overstep. You don't want to try and be a little greedy, try to gain a little more, and then end up losing so much. You don't want to bite the hand that feeds you. So if you've got everything set for this race so far, just deal with it in a composed manner, and then just try to pick off spots if you can. We look at Tyler Gary, Timmy Holmes going at it for P7, and Tyler Gary was actually a part, Blake, of the eNASCAR College iRacing Series a couple of weeks back, or rather a couple of months back at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. So Gary performed solid in that race. He's doing well so far tonight inside the top 10. And it looks like he's holding Holmes by for the moment. But they are catching up to Ryan Doucette and Tyler Gary. So this fight quite not over yet.
They're starting to make up some ground, by the way. The other Logitech Altus Esports car we mentioned earlier, Jordy Lopez Jr., just retired from this race, so he has called it a night. But you can see the flip side of it right now. They have a little bit of speed underneath the hood as Ryan Doucette right now trying to chase down Derek Bordeaux, who's driving away off of turn number 2. Ryan Doucette was an eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver in 2021, fell out of the series and fell out of Contender last year. Some of it being some contact with me. We seem to always find each other, and we're crashing last year. But Doucette trying to make his way back up the ladder, and I'm rooting for him to do so. And he's doing a solid job right now, running in what is now 7th as he sees a challenge from Tyler Gary on the high side.
I think it's great that we have you in the booth for this Contender iRacing series because you had literally the first-hand POV. I was watching from Twitter. I was watching your streams when you were racing last year. So, I mean, it's cool to have that perspective that you and Ryan just said and the experiences you guys have had together. But the tires are falling off for the Altus Esports Ford Mustang. Wyatt Tinsley going to take advantage of this as well as Timmy Holmes and Tyler Gary continue to go at it. I wonder, Blake, if Holmes is just waiting for the right opportunity for Gary to make a mistake, or if this is just trying to hold serve and they can pick their way through the field without having to battle too much.
I think Holmes definitely had some better track position and may have pit just a little bit later. But again, one of those situations where I think Gary knows that Holmes has the tire advantage. You're in a really good point situation right now. Tyler Gary finishing top 10 last week. Oh, that's not going to help. A little bit of a blink right there, but all good for Tyler Gary. So you're going to race hard. You're not going to lay over it and give him the spot. You're going to make him earn it, but again, I think you're going to see a lot of courtesy here given because at the end of the day, if you're Tyler Gary, maybe you lose this one spot to Timmy Holmes. At the end of the day, you're points racing. You're racing to get into the top 20, and right now you're well above that goal of where you need to be. So if you're Tyler Gary, you're not worrying too much right now as he's going to try to make a way by Alan Bowes. As Kenneth, I believe you've caught up with Jordy Lopez Jr.
Indeed, here with the Jordy Lopez Jr. machine. And Jordy, just walk us through what happened on that pit road cycle.
So I was trying to underfuel, and I tried to make the adjustment in the pit road, and I unclicked it too early, and I would have had to pit again. And then when I was leaving the pit road, I accelerated too early, and I got speeding. So it put me 2 laps down. It seems like the race was just going to go green, so I'm just going to call it a night.
No, unfortunately, a tough break here from Homestead-Miami Speedway, but of course, many chances to pick up some more points, and maybe this week could be the drop week for you. Auto Club Speedway next on the calendar, November 15th. What are your thoughts about that track?
It's going to be very tricky because there's 2 lanes to run, and it's just going to be about being smart on the line you pick and like how you take care of the tires. So yeah, I'm not really too excited about it, but I just hope that everything goes good.
Well, we're sorry about what happened tonight from Homestead, Jordy, but we appreciate you taking some of the time, and best of luck in the rest of this Contender iRacing Series season.
And Jordy Lopez Jr. will step away from us again. We appreciate him taking the time. And again, Kenneth, the one thing about this series is you do get one drop. That's been a part of the series as long as it's been around and in its current format. So Jordy Lopez Jr., great run last week inside of the top 15. So you can't get away with these drops, but it's definitely something you want to save in your back pocket for maybe the 5th or 6th race down the road. But unfortunately tonight it looks like that's going to be drop territory for Jordy Lopez Jr. tonight.
Yeah, for sure, and so unfortunate for him as well because, again, came off with a strong finish at Phoenix to start the Salah, finished 2nd and was in high hopes. And although tonight could be a drop week and it won't matter on the points in the grand scheme of things, if he's able to do well in the rest of the campaign, it is still going to hurt a little bit mentally, knowing the speed that you had tonight, knowing the possibilities of what could have happened if there wasn't a speeding penalty in mind or in that sequence of events. So unfortunate for Jordy Lopez Jr., but hopefully we'll see him rebound once we get to the Auto Club Speedway next week.
See if he can do that as we take a look. If you've been watching eNASCAR for a while, you're familiar with this driver. He's won a couple of championships down in the trucks in the eNASCAR qualifying iRacing series. That is Brandon McKissick, who has yet to reach the top of the ladder, currently running in the 24th position as he just made his way, or excuse me, 25th, just past Ray Alfalo right now. And you know, these are where these positions, Kenneth, can get so important, that you're battling for every single point. Your night isn't going the way you quite want it to. You're going to race as hard outside of the top 20 as you see these guys doing right now. This is for 9th as Wyatt Tinsley tries to hang on over Alan Bowes and Colin Keister.
If you're near that latter half of the field, you definitely want to push it a little bit more, but at the same time, you don't want to waste your equipment, because we're still 27 laps out from the checkered flag. That is way more than enough time for the tires to wear out even more, and for your situation, if your car's not handling the best, to get even worse. So you don't want to do anything crazy. You just want to keep yourself composed like Brandon McKissick is right now, and just take what you can get. And right now, for the moment, further up to the field in the top 10, Alan Bowes is trying to get as much as he can get, although he was losing out to Parker White, Colin Keister and company. It's been a tough road there for Bowes, but that's just because of the tire difference. It's just with the call. And at this point, Blake, without any yellows so far on the track, if you've got your bed set, you got to lay in it.
That's exactly right. That you're just kind of stuck where you are, and you have to try and do the best that you can with the car that you're dealt. As Alan Bowes right now running in the 11th position. Again, a positive for him as he is running, of course, inside the top 20 that you would want to be a part of. And, you know, Kenneth, one thing I think that's interesting when you talk about this series, you could see a couple of liveries out there that resemble the scheme that they had in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, and how much that plays into everything. Of course, during the off-season, free agency is a special time where teams are looking to either re-sign or perhaps get a new driver in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. One of those drivers is Briar LaPrade right now, currently runs in the 29th position. He was somebody, Kenneth, you know, that this is what can kind of be heartbreaking about this series. If you're a team owner, you like the teammates that you have, you want to bring them back. But unfortunately right now, LaPrade didn't quite have the run he wanted last week. He's going to get passed now and fall back to 30th. And it's tough for these team owners that they have these drivers like Briar LaPrade that somebody like Dale Earnhardt Jr. really believes in. They want them to be coming back and competing for them next season. But this is the harsh reality of this series, that sometimes things are going your way and sometimes it's not. And right now, LaPrade, as things run, he would be outside of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series in 2022.
And it's the nature of the beast at that point. You know, you can have that relationship with the team, but if you can't perform or if things don't go your way at this step of the NASCAR, then you can't make it back to Coke Series. You can't make it back with the team that you were performing with at the top level of the series. And he's under fire now from Christopher Pfeffer in the 66, a consistent driver in the Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series. They're going to continue that on, but this is a battle building for 30th on the track. So neither of them having the night that they would want here from Homestead-Miami Speedway.
You can see right there a good battle happening. Again, that's for the 30th position. You could see, I guess we could call it the lean squad here, Kenneth, as you can see Brendan Kohler right there, Brian Mercurio, who are definitely leaning in their seats. I know I'm definitely guilty of this, doing it on the stream, but Brendan Kohler's getting a little bit more into it right now than Brian Mercurio, currently running 23rd and 27th, respectively.
Just tells you the state of the tires at that point. 22 laps to go. We've already built up what, about 25 to 30 laps for a lot of these guys on their set of Goodyear Eagles. So Mercurio having to wheel it a little bit more, and I am not going to say that I'm not one of the leaners with iRacing. I definitely lean into the corner a little bit. I don't know if it gives anybody an advantage or not. It just kind of feels a little bit right to lean into the corner. There's a look back at the battle for 30th. Christopher Pfeffer finally able to overcome Briar LaPrade in the 88. There's a look at Briar LaPrade and his left for Billy to supply number 88 machine as he tries to hold on to what he has left into the final 21 laps.
And at this point, it's just really tough. You kind of am hoping for a caution at this point to try and change your fortunes around, which, by the way, for all of these drivers, there's only one set of tires left on pit road right now. So if we were to get a caution, you kind of have to question, do you stay out? Do you maybe hope for another yellow? Or are you going to take that final set right now? There's a lot to be had right there with just so few tire sets available for these drivers. And back up front, Vicente Salas has reined in Derek Justice just a little bit, but also you have Joey Brown, who is doing a lot of work right now, trying to catch Vicente Salas. And oh boy, I'm telling you, Kenneth, right now Joey is about as focused as anybody is. He almost looks angry right now, which I guess driving angry, it's working for him right now.
It's a vigorous practice to drive here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, and to couple that with one of the most competitive series on the iRacing platform. And Brown has been trying to work on Salas over the past run or so. It just has not come his way. And you can see that the laser focus trying to make sure he can get every little bit of that wheel he can coming out of the corner. He's just really stabilized with Salas, which is the same thing for Salas against Derek Justice. He closed in at about 0.6 of a second, and now it stayed there. It really hasn't closed in. It hasn't opened up. It's been all the same between the top three, but Joey Brown, despite the face, could come up with an optimistic finish. It would be his second straight top 5 finish over the first 2 races if he can get it done.
I love the baseball or softball jersey that he was wearing. I couldn't see the lettering, so not sure what team, but
are those Orioles colors?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It looks like the billing was red and yellow, so kind of multicolored there. But nevertheless, a great run for Joey Brown, who, again, we talk about. He's one of those drivers that was kind of part of the old school iRacing Contender series back in the day. Was a part of the Coke series a number of years ago, and after a long hiatus, which is not easy to do, he has been plopped right into this series and been very competitive in the trucks and in this car as well. So I think somebody that we are sure to see racing on Tuesday nights next year in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. This is behind Brandon McKissick. This is Blaze Crawford right now, currently in 25th, and all these drivers right now trying to inch their way just close to the top 20 here in these last 17 laps.
Yeah, Crawford, one of the Elliott Sadler esports drivers.
Trouble.
We've got a caution.
Is out. Caution is out, and I'm trying to find out exactly where it was. As you can see, one car is slow and off the pace. You can see right there the number 36. That is Brendan Kohler, who we were following along with just a little bit earlier. And oh boy, does this change absolutely everything, as there was no contact here, Kenneth. It was a self-spin out of turn 4. Kohler got loose and locked it down, and that is what will bring out the caution flag here. So no issues and no damage for the 36, just a innocent spin, but boy, is this going to change the complexion of this race.
It definitely is, and what that's going to do, Blake, is bring Vicente Salas back in the battle. He had been holding behind the 31 for so long. That gap was not closing anytime soon. That race could have been sealed if it stayed green, but now Salas is back in it. That lead eradicated for the 31 of Derek Justice, and with Brendan John Kohler going around, it's going to put all the field together, and that means, Blake, possibly our last set of stops with those last set of Goodyear Eagles. It's going to be fun on the strategy.
Oh, man, that is the last thing that Derek Justice wanted to see, as most of these drivers going to come down and take their last set of Goodyear Eagles. Most of them. We'll see if anybody's brave enough to stay out, but with just 15 laps to go, I don't think that we will see that. You can see how close they are on pit road. You need to execute, you need to get in your stall and get off of pit road. This is where Vicente Salas right here winning the pole. That lead pit stall could be a big benefit right there.
Yeah, this has to be the money stop, and I question if anyone's going to take 2 tires. I feel like the run's gone long enough to where everyone really has to take 4 if they want to be competitive. Salas going to hop on the jacks, and then it's just a waiting game, Blake. That's the fun thing about it. Justice going to come out first. Salas going to try to beat him there, and I think the top 3 going to remain the same out of the pit lane.
And you see the drivers working their way off of pit road, and so far, no black flags to speak of. This is the 36 of Brendan Kohler right now. Gets to the bottom of 1 and 2, gets those left sides on that seam, gets a little bit loose, and man, just the darndest thing. Car just snapped around on him right there, locks it up as soon as he spun around. So Brendan Kohler right there gets I think for him what would be a much-needed caution right now. Currently runs in 31st, but yeah, fortunate there he doesn't get any damage. I think one car may have scraped the wall on the outside, trying to avoid that.
And he was running inside the top 26 6, I believe, before that caution came out. So while, yes, the caution is going to help Brendan John Kohler get closer to the guys in the field and maybe gain some in this last run, he drops to P31. So it necessarily isn't the greatest deal for Brendan John Kohler. That trouble really started entrance turn 3. So, I mean, he carried it through the whole corner, and around he went.
And see right there, next week we will be live from the Auto Club Speedway. Again, this schedule resembling exactly what we had a year ago. So Auto Club will be the 3rd race yet again. Again, that'll be right here on eNASCAR.com/live at 9 p.m. next Tuesday night. The Auto Club Speedway, especially here in these Xfinity cars, Kenneth, I think this is one of the more fun combos, multi-groove, everything that you can think of. There's a lot of opportunity at that racetrack, so a very fun place to drive for these drivers, and one of the most heralded racetracks on this service, especially for this car.
And one thing about that track, as big as Auto Club Speedway is, it has so many lanes. We could probably expect 4 to 5 wide racing at certain points just based on how tightly packed the field is. So Auto Club is going to be a lot of fun. And one thing also to note, last year in the Contender Series, Donovan Strauss took the win at Auto Club and then went 2 in a row after a National Super Speedway. So if somebody wins at Auto Club, maybe the trend could continue. Maybe time will repeat itself. Who knows? But Auto Club going to be so much fun in 1 week time.
All right, so we are going to speak very quickly with Vicente Salas, which, Vicente, congrats on your win last week, but what do you think you need to do here to try and make it 2 in a row here?
I mean, we're just going to have to drive harder than him. We were catching up at the end of that run there and keeping pretty even with him. So, I mean, we'll see what we can get here. It'll just be about positioning ourselves, and honestly, we're just trying to grab points. So, looking to just have a good end of this thing.
You think the high side will be a play here?
It could be, but I think you'll also see guys wrapping the bottom and running the seam.
All right, Vicente, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, I always love that. I mean, we're right before a restart. There's so much on the line, Kenneth, and these guys are willing to talk to us and be pretty brutally honest. So I love that from Vicente. But he's also honest, too, that, again, we're here for points. A win would be great, but at the end of the day, we just need to finish and stay up front where we are. So the pace car will dive to the safety of pit lane. That caution sets up an 11-lap dash to the finish. Field will be led to the green flag by Derek Justice, as in just a couple moments he'll approach the Geico restart zone, and an early launch for Derek Justice will launch him away. Green flag is out.
And already some blocking in the Hornets' nest of the field, but a clear jump for the 31 of Justice. Here comes Joey Brown to the inside in turns 1 and 2. Timmy Holmes to follow. Many taking the very outside lane, but Justice cleared away out of turn 2.
They are 3, they are 4 wide, scattered throughout the entire field, as Justice able to scurry away with the race lead. You can see Holmes in second. Oh boy, they are just inches off of each other all throughout the field. You can see Parker White with the head of steam. One car is very loose on the top side. Tinsley going to try to shove his nose up. Or no, excuse me, that's Alan Bowes. I mean, Kenneth, they're 3 wide just about everywhere through this field.
And they're about to be 4 wide. Alan Bowes is going to get put through the middle. Seth the Merchant in there as well. Tyler Gary at the top. Andrew Navarro at the bottom. They are still 3 wide. Multiple rows deep. Malik Ray almost making contact a little further behind. It is getting haywire in the final 10 laps. Still 3 wide. The Merchant down low under Alton Bowes.
I tell you what, Kenneth, that top side right now is where you want to be. Everybody's stacking up. Everybody doesn't know where to go. That top side, especially in 1 and 2, is where all of that momentum is. And we hear again and again how much the tires wear up there. Well, guess what? 10 laps to go. Not a whole lot of time for those tires to wear, and those drivers that have gone to the top side, it has paid off for them as they are 4 wide further back in the field.
They are 4 wide. Look at all the Altus Esports cars stuck in the middle. The 77 and the 57. Ryan Doucette, Seth the Merchant. There's Cody Bias. There's the 69 machine of Colin Bowden in there as well. This fight definitely not over, and a lot of points on the line as well, Blake, between the top 10 and the top 15. So you got to keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, Vicente Salas has found a way underneath Derek Justice for second. Can he catch up to Joey Brown before the race is all said and done?
Justice may have burned up his right rear tire. He lost the lead, so Joey Brown goes to the race lead. Vicente goes to second. Timmy Holmes in third. And all of a sudden, the driver that won this race last year shot out of a cannon, Colin Keister, with the short run dig that right now Derek Justice just does not seem to have. So Justice back to fifth. Here comes Caden Honeycutt that may make a move for sixth. Is now Salas. He'll go to that top side.
And he drifted up in the middle of the corner, lost on that ground to Timmy Holmes, and he may be under fire here further from Colin Keister in the 8 machine. Here's a look further back. This is Derek Bordeaux looking at Derek Justice, Caden Honeycutt going at it for the inside of the top 5. And this is just a mad dash to the finish. And like you said, Blake, and it looks like another dash to the finish is really just complete opposite of what we've seen all race long. So many long green flag runs, and the caution comes out, and now everybody's pushing as hard as they can.
Well, remember before that spin happened, Brendan Kohler was running back in 23rd. That's basically where he is right now. He has worked his way up to 21st after restarting in 34th. You can see them working into, so close there between Derek Bordeaux and Derek Justice right now as they are nearly making contact, and they are making contact off of turn 4. Bordeaux checks up, but Justice will just hang on. And how about Parker White has made his way up into the 8th spot? A great drive for driver 95.
And after he started this race in P20, this is definitely the run that he's been looking for. He started dead last in the field, by the way, Blake. 1 week ago at the Phoenix Raceway, moved his way all the way to 17th at the end of it. That was a big win for him. And here comes White, Tinsley to the inside to potentially make it a battle for P8. But Derek Justice, Blake, falling off like an anchor here within 5 laps to go. He needs to stop the bleeding and stop it quick.
He is. There's just a couple of laps to go. Again, you want to be top 20, but at this point you're giving up what Justice now, if winning, he would have had 40 points. Now 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 31 points for Derek Justice, so he has lost 9 points really since the green flag dropped. How about Daniel Buttafuoco back here, who was not competitive at all in this race, was running about 37th earlier. He's back here for 30th. They are still battling their tails off here at the back of the pack, but just not a whole lot that can be done here. You have so many lanes, so many people stacked up. You're just looking for a lane that will work. And right now, Caden Honeycutt will go to the bottom of Keister to try and make that bottom work. Almost gets cut off there by Colin Keister, who is up into 4th.
And we're seeing that a lot here from Homestead throughout the entire race. When drivers are going side by side, that guy on the outside can just pinch, use that seam, force the guy down low to grab that white line at the bottom of the racetrack, and it scrubs off some speed. Colin Keister playing some defense there, and you were even looking at it ahead of Daniel Buttafuoco with a battle between Daniel Falkingham and Boyd Hogan. Hogan doing the absolute same thing, and as Caden Honeycutt chases to turn 1, he'll find a nose in, potential pass for 4th.
Honeycutt down on the bottom of the racetrack. It will slide Keister up the hill. Keister doing a heck of a job. He's got a little bit of damage on the rear end of that race car. These cars are very sensitive to damage, so Keister, I think all things considered, has to be thrilled with how he is driving here. Honeycutt even has a little bit of damage on the nose of his Toyota Supra. So very good for these drivers that has not hindered their progress too much. But the white flag is out. One more trip around for Joey Brown, who, as we mentioned earlier, has spent several years away from the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, has come back and made a statement all the way through the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series and is looking to do the same here in the Contender series. You can see the focus on his face as he works through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Checkered flag in the air at the end of lap 100, and Joey Brown will visit victory lane here at Homestead-Miami.
What a great win for Joey Brown. There's a look at 3 wide to the start-finish line. That's Ray Alfala down low, a couple of Altus Esports cars on the high side. But Joey Brown finds the speed up at the front late. He was good all race long, but it was that last restart that he needed to take the lead away and to grab his first win of the Contender Series. He picked up 2 wins in round 2 of the Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series, and this one definitely, Blake, going to mean a lot for him from Miami.
It is. It means a lot to him. It means a lot to a new teammate of his in Kevin King, who says all the hard work paid off, and it certainly did for Joey Brown, as he is going to do a burnout here on the front straightaway. Your winner tonight here in the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series, as he was a part of the first one. He's been around a while, and a very well-deserved victory here tonight. Has been so fast in both races that we've run. He stormed his way through the qualifying iRacing Series in the trucks, and very thrilled tonight. He parks it right on the start-finish line like he's done this before, Kenneth.
And Timmy Holmes was there to celebrate as well. He was doing a burnout in synchronization with Joey Brown. Holmes finishes second, but with the way he ran tonight, it has to feel like a win. But a huge success for Joey Brown, getting up to the front late, making it matter, and Joey Brown taking the first checkered flag in the Contender Series for 2022.
That he does, as we have concluded the race here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. We'll see if we can catch up here in just a moment with your winner in Joey Brown in just a moment, who I'm sure is very thrilled, and he's here. Joey Brown, how you feeling, winner at Homestead?
Man, that was awesome. Just incredible. Just to be able to come back and have competed this level has just been unreal.
I was about to ask you about that experience, Joey. We were talking and, looking at the eNASCAR competitive ladder. This has become a young man's game, if you will, but you had several years off of the service. You've gotten back into the competitive ladder and immediately have made an impact. I think it's safe to say that time away didn't hurt you, but what has been so special about making that return to sim racing?
Man, it's just, I'm at a point in my life now where it's more enjoyable. I was really into it back in the day, and pretty wound up and made a lot of mistakes, and I think I've matured a lot since then. I probably don't have quite the raw speed I used to, but I have the experience and maturity, and I was content just running for third there. I think old Joey Brown back in the day would have drove the wheels off it trying to get to the lead, but I just kind of let the race come to me. Brad made some awesome adjustments at the pit stop there, and it just took off. It was just unreal.
Certainly Brad Wright taking care of you, Joey. Well, we'll let you go. Congratulations on another great run, and I don't know, I think we'll be seeing you on Tuesday nights next year. Just have a feeling.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Joey Brown, your winner tonight, the Homestead-Miami Speedway. He takes the second race of a track that has pretty much been in every single season that we've run in the Contender Series since its inception. And Kenneth, I believe you caught up with somebody who we heard from a little bit earlier in Vicente Salas.
Indeed, here with the driver of the 55, Vicente, so much speed after starting on pole. Not the win, but still third place finish has to feel good consistency-wise.
Yeah, I mean, just a huge shout out to my guys. Dave Siltman for killing it on the car. Carson Hosevar for helping me and being there for me. Jonathan Platt for spotting me. I mean, for a three guy team with a spotter, I mean, we're not doing too bad against these big guys. So I'm super proud of all my guys, and the consistency is there. So we just got to go do that again next week.
It's been the key. First place at Phoenix, third place at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Auto Club next on the calendar. What are your thoughts about Auto Club and how you feel you're going to perform there with the team?
We had a good car there last year. I think we have a really good base to build off of. Obviously this week we had a good qualifying setup. I wasn't really expecting that, but definitely happy to qualify on pole, so we'll have a good base for there. But I mean, really, I have to thank all of my guys on my team, everyone at Williams Esports, all of our partners, Miramar Financial, my mom, my dad, my brother, Uncle Steve, Uncle Chuck, my grandma, my grandpa, and I mean, God, it's everyone for supporting me. So all glory to God on this one.
Well, we certainly appreciate the time, Vicente. On behalf of our broadcast team, I want to send you congratulations on the third place finish. We'll see you at Auto Club.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.
That's Vicente Salas in his Toyota Supra for Williams Esports that grabs a third place finish. It is second, though, for the driver of the 67 for the team. And we are joined by the driver of that 67, Timmy Holmes. Timmy, just walk us through that last restart. You started fifth, you moved up to second. How was that?
Yeah, we made some good adjustments. Everybody at Victory One was helping me out, and he told me what to do. We did it, and it was just fast. I don't know. I felt like me and Joey were a lot better than everybody else. So I just picked them off one by one, and that was about it.
You're able to do that. It's a second place tonight from Homestead-Miami, coming off of the 11th place finish in the first race at the Phoenix Raceway. Now moving through the rest of the campaign. What is that shift in momentum going to look like in the positive direction?
Yeah, honestly, at Phoenix, I didn't think I was going to even finish that good. So 11th was really good there, and then to come here and finish second, not only is it just good momentum, it's kind of like a eye opener. Like, hey, I can really do this. So definitely just gonna keep on putting in the time. And I just got to thank everybody at Victory One that helped out. Ryko, Jackson Crowder for spotting me. I think that's about it.
We were doing burnouts there with Joey Brown, and it felt like a win there, but awesome performance tonight, Timmy. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you at Auto Club next week.
Couple of great runs for our drivers there, Kenneth, as Joey Brown is your winner here tonight at the Homestead-Miami Speedway. Appreciate Timmy and Vicente making their way out. Of course, if you want to be a part of the fun, you can get on iRacing now with a new membership. 50% off for new members, as well as 25% off if you're somebody who is actively using the service right now for 12 or 24 months. Make sure you don't miss out on that. It's one of the best times of the year for a reason, Kenneth. As again, we appreciate all of you tuning in for both races here, the eNASCAR College iRacing Series and the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series. Again, the next time you can see the Contender Series next Tuesday night, Auto Club Speedway. That will roll off at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we look forward to seeing you there. So on behalf of my broadcast partners who covered the opening half of our coverage, and James Pike and Terry Radford, as well as this Contender Series race with Kenneth Bueno, I am Blake McCandless saying so long from the Homestead-Miami Speedway, where we bid you farewell and congratulations to tonight's winner, Joey Brown.